3, 2.
This is Nigel McGuinness, Ring of Honor superstar, and you are listening to Retro Unlived Radio. Stay tuned, wankers.
Boom, baby! We are back. Friday night Slamcast. No Brandon Ligon this week. He is traveling. But I am the Gaming Pegasus 187, hosting this shit this week because you can plug me in anywhere. I'm like fucking anyone with Antonio Cesaro. You can plug me in with anybody. We make a great goddamn tag team.
Or like a vibrator.
So
He's always buzzing. Just totally.
Yeah, so anyway, as you heard him, there is the Jack Swagger to my Cesaro, Mr. Michael Burhan.
Hello, hello, ladies and gentlemen from merry old England. I'm here to do this show and chew bubble gum, and I'm all out of bubble gum.
Puff. Sorry.
Roddy Piper, they live. Love it.
And also we have with us Mr. Lawnboys Post 1975 himself, Mr. David Wade.
Yes, back after a little hiatus, thanks to those gods whose name we shall not mention. Don't say it, Burhan, or things will go tits up, as I said.
It's like saying
before.
Macbeth, isn't it?
It is. Oh, well, at least I don't act, so you can say that what you want. It's your career you just do by saying that out loud.
Yeah, well, what career? But also we have with us as well a gentleman who's basically returning to the show for a second time around. He's Mr. Dax himself from ACMG also. So Dax, remind everybody where you're from.
I am from America by way of Philadelphia, PA, or the land of extreme, if you want to put it that way. I'm coming from a group called ACMG, which is a Facebook group that covers all things anime, comics, movies, and games. And, you know, amongst all this, I am a avid advocate of wrestling.
So I want to throw out a little question
the
to
internet's
everybody.
most sultry voice, man, I add.
Of course.
Oh,
apart
thank you.
from this side of Xander Scullion, of course, because Xander's the original innovator of sultry. I want to ask you guys a question, because I want to throw a question out there as we begin the show to a gentleman by the name of Max Landis. If you haven't seen Wrestling Isn't Wrestling, then where the fuck have you been? I know a lot of people have been playing around with the Shia LaBeouf memes at the moment, which makes me laugh because he does look like he's taking a shit every time he tells someone to just do it. I think he's trying to make his way into a Nike commercial, who knows, or he's probably just trying to get together the world's biggest lawsuit and sue everyone that's memeing him at the moment. But basically, the guy came out and he was talking to I believe it was Scott Snyder. Now, Scott Snyder is a comic book writer who currently and artist who dealt with Green Lantern, you know, the Blackest Night, Justice League, of course, as well, and is one of the personas who helped with the New 52 reboot. Now, he asked the question of why is it that the fans boo John Cena. He came out with a video stating why he felt that adults booed John Cena, but the kids loved him. And I decided to do a little bit of rebuttal there and talk on my side. If you guys want to check out on my channel, it's youtube.com/NeoGenius, what I believe it was. Now, based on the whole John Cena thing, let's ask around the panel here. Dax, what do you think? Why do you believe the fans boo John Cena? Even though he's a hard worker. Obviously, he's a great guy. He's a hard worker. Why do people boo him?
You know what? At this point, I think I call it Kurt Angle heat. You know how they used to say he sucked, but after a while it became a fun thing to do, but it wasn't like he really does suck. I think he's at that level at this point. I think people do think that he's earned his case, but at this point they're just saying it just for the fun of it now, or they're doing a double chance and all that stuff. Honestly, I mean, anybody that I believe that think that at this stage of his career sucks. I mean, of course he's not the best wrestler ever. I mean, he's better than Hulk Hogan. He's better than a few other people in the past. he does have a little bit more in his repertoire now. I don't like that new stunner move, but
that's done
when it's all said
so
and-
badly though. It's executed
I hate
so
it too.
poorly.
Yeah.
I mean, Austin hates it because you would think, a stunner would be a finish. It's basically a setup
Right.
into the FU.
It's an insult. It's a disrespect. Like, I wouldn't blame Austin and literally, draw him for that one, legit. But at the end of the day, he does work hard. I think that the Sucks chants aren't what they used to be, in my opinion. So yeah, I think it's more or less it's more of it now. It's just for a fun thing to do. Because I think guaranteed, rather two things. When he's ready to retire, or if he ever goes heel or something like that, I guarantee that the fans will turn up. Because that's what this is all about in the first place. Is that when he was doing thugonomics and all this stuff, and he was rebelling, and he was the last of the Attitude Era, or whatever, they were cheering him. You could see go on the WWE Network and see some of the actual footage when he was doing thugonomics. The crowd was hot for him. It was only when he went G.I. Joe is when they started really hating on him, and he became a soldier to the proverbial government.
Yeah, no, but that's why Max Landis basically called him Superman and saying that Superman destroys everything in his path. I call it Hulk Hogan syndrome. As soon as he gets to the top of the ladder, because Vince has got a hard on for everything American. I mean, Americana, right. American as apple pie, and the military.
America, fuck yeah.
Yeah, the Vince McMahon has
save the motherfucking day.
Yeah, he has everything America. Vince McMahon is General Aficionado America, and what he did, he's done this before. If you look at Big Daddy called Diesel, he tried to turn him into what they call it, a white meat baby face. And then
he tried to do Lex Luger too.
Lex Luger as well. I need a hero. The Lex Express.
Oh my god! I think that was on the original WWF album, the collection of music.
Yeah, they had two versions. They had the guy version and they had a female version as well. So they had both sides. I remember listening to it as a kid, going, "Oh my god, that he's just awful."
And I'm always partial with my baby tonight.
I have a true story about how America really is always there to save the day, by the way. I got loaded off my face a couple of months ago downtown, Bristol, and I fell over a little worse for wear when I came out of the pub. And the only person who stopped to help me up was, ironically, America. So there you go. America always does save the day. That's a true story.
But yeah, so, it moves on from...
And I insulted them accidentally by asking if they were Canadian, but I was drunk.
But like with Cena himself, most people don't know, before he created the rap persona, he was on his way out. Vince didn't like him. Vince wanted him to have a fucking haircut. Cena tried to do that whole ruthless aggression thing, which didn't work because he looked like a bloody twat. And then he turned heel, and he was doing rap battles with Rey Mysterio backstage. And one of the agents caught wind of it and said, "You need to do that." So he did it on an episode of SmackDown in 2002, I believe. It was like a...
Was it like the Halloween episode? He was dressed up as Vanilla Ice, which already awesome.
It was him and Kristen. It was him and Kristen, if I'm correct, that they were battling.
And then he got drafted to Raw. And once he got drafted to Raw after the WWE title situation, because he was part of the SmackDown 6, if everyone remembers.
Right. And then he got swapped over to the Raw, so there was that brief period where they had two world champions. And then over on SmackDown, they did the 6-man match where the winner got the SmackDown title and JBL won. We don't need a SmackDown champion, and here comes Batista. But I don't even really count when Cena got booed heavily at One Night Stand in 06 against Van Dam. That wasn't because people were sick of him. That was because there's an ECW crowd. He was facing RVD. Right. That crowd was not going to boo Van Dam. I mean, they even cheered Edge.
But that's the thing.
Remember when Edge came in and helped Van Dam win that match? Edge was getting booed out of the building. He was a heel earlier in the night. Comes out, helps Van Dam.
Remember?
Thank you, Edge.
Mm-hmm.
It's tribal mentality, so you get in any sport, though, isn't it, basically?
But it's not just that as well. The thing is, I always say adults aren't the ones that basically hate Cena. It's the wrestling fans. And the reason being is people have grown up and they've seen Cena. I like myself, like Nick, who've watched Cena from the get-go and watched him evolve as a character. And what happened when he got drafted to Raw, they stripped him down. They turned him into Hulk Hogan. Proverbially,
Right.
Hulkamania isn't dead. It's just turned into C-Nation. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Birth to Son.
Yeah. The basically the T-shirts, the little kids who love him. You know, Hogan. That's definite Hogan.
And that's what it is. It's not that people hate Cena. I mean, I don't hate the guy. The guy is actually
hate the
pretty.
direction.
He needs to tighten up that damn STF, by the way. But he's good in the ring. He's an amazing human being. I just saw something on the news, earlier. It was like Good Morning America, or whatever the fuck it was, and they were showing the thing from Raw where Cena brought the kid who had cancer into the ring, and yada yada yada. He does all the charity work and everything, and I think Cena would be doing that. I don't think he's too much of a fan of it being it's played up to the nth degree on TV.
Mm-hmm.
But it's the booking. It's the fact that it's Cena wins, LOL. Which, it's funny we bring that up concerning what happened at the Chamber.
Like, the most interesting thing they've ever done with Cena was the Nexus storyline. You remember when he was forced...
fucked it up.
Yeah, he was forced to work with the Nexus. They should have just let it transition to the fact where he was being forced to be a heel. Do you know what I mean? So that way, he wasn't a heel, he wasn't being a heel, he was forced into it, like he was doing the job.
And then you'd really feel, he'd have the sympathy, you'd feel bad for the guy, he's going against his character, but what happened? SummerSlam, Cena wins, LOL, and that killed the entire fucking Nexus.
Yeah, and then they destroyed the entire Nexus thing with Cena, just plowed through the lot of them and destroyed Wade Barrett, and then they tried
fired Daniel Bryan.
And that too, and it was just...
Tiegate.
Yeah, and it just killed the entire gimmick. And that's the problem. It's basically...
And how many of those guys are still with the friggin' company that was in the original Nexus? Bryan, Barrett, Slater,
Justin Gabriel,
Ryback, Otunga, I think, is still there.
Yeah, Otunga's now doing
there.
commentary.
He's in the background, yeah.
Apparently he's part of the WWE's...
things, I guess.
Yeah, he's part of the WWE's legal team now. He's kind of done...
I think Carter and Gabriel are the only two out of that original, NXT season 1
Jeez,
that have
Michael Tarver, I
left.
totally forgot about him.
Yeah, I don't know why.
wasn't
I
even,
have
right?
a fucking Nexus shirt, by the way.
By the way, Tarver wasn't even that great. Tarver was terrible. So I understand why they got rid of him.
Oh, he was bad. He was...
He reminded me of New Jack Light, as I would put him.
New Jack.
He
was like... He wasn't like the
Burke.
wrestler, but New Jack... Like, New Jack was a tough son of a bitch, but...
No,
Tarver
New
wasn't
Jack is
nuts.
legit. Yeah.
Oh, dude.
No, he's the son of
Considering
a
the
boxer.
story
New
I
Jack
just
is
saw-
totally legit.
I wouldn't mind a one-night New Jack return if Bieber does wrestle at SummerSlam, and whether that's true or not.
No, New Jack is a psychopath. No one wants New Jack to return because he would kill Justin Bieber. We would have someone's death on their hands. I've seen the
it's
fucking
Justin Bieber,
blood.
so I don't think a lot of people would care.
He's killed. Literally, I remember these two guys had a tag team called the Gangsters. New Jack fucking put forks
Mustafa,
in their
yeah.
head and stapled their fucking head. No, this was a young team.
Well-
and New Jack teamed with this other dude and destroyed them. They had to literally... They had to stop these kids from filing charges. The dude's a psychopath. I just...
Oh,
you know.
Burhan,
I remember the mass transit incident. I remember that was a big
Oh,
thing
God.
that nearly killed, ECW's pay-per-view because
Right.
the kid was like 17. He
15.
said he was trained and he wasn't, but yeah, New Jack got a lot of fucking heat for it, but
Well, I used to go to the actual ECW events. I've been to like the infamous scaffold match between Brian Lee and Tommy Dreamer.
Man.
The Raven crucifixion.
And then they had Raven go out and apologize.
Yeah, I
Oh
was
my
there.
God.
I was there. When you're in Swanson and Rittner down in South Philly, sometimes they actually come out to hang out with you. That's how much of a in-house club. Fight club
that's
feel
like the
that
big
was.
thing. It wasn't
Right.
like the venue. You could go out somewhere in Philly and you could go sit in a bar and have a beer with Sandman after the show.
And Raven will be right there, or Sandman will be right there, and it's totally cool. New Jack would hang around in different spots. He hung around in our spot sometime, and boy, some of the stories. And if you know somebody who knows somebody, you can hang around afterwards, and it kind of gets really wild.
Oh, geez.
I've had friends who hung around him big time, and they went to hotels, and I was young at the time, so there was no way in hell I'd be hitting those spots, and I don't think I would want to at this point after what I heard. But yeah, the dude he's buck wild.
He's a psychopath. Apparently, even he scared Terry Runnels away from him. and then started like posting naked pictures of her online and stuff. It was very, very bad. But going on from that, you know, we're still talking about Cena and the fact that...
How do we go from Cena to New Jack? Jesus Christ.
Well, look, hold on for 1 second, Michael. I do want to mention one thing. Nick, you mentioned the STF. I would love if any one of us or somebody can actually interview or just at least ask a question to Masahiro Chono and see what the hell he really thinks about that.
Can I just quickly say, Burn, I asked you, I begged, don't mention Connery gods, and you fucking... Sorry.
Oh, fuck.
But yeah, on to that one as well. You know, they asked William Regal, and William's like, it's fine. There's no issue with it. And they were just like, really? He's like, no, it's just don't ask me.
I don't know how you've done, but I have my opinion on Cena.
Yeah, go for it, Dave. What was your
I
opinion?
agree with Dax to some degree, which is whether it was genuine or not at the start, whether, you know, like what Nick was talking about, you know, certain crowds played out in people's allegiance and stuff like that. But
right.
It happens for
and
so
like that
long.
ECW thing was a one-off. It's like now, you know what I mean? Keep going.
Yeah, exactly. But I think, like what Dax said, which is true, but at some point it's just become synonymous with him and associated with his wrestling character. So
But
it's
the thing is, I think it's only this
look
year
at, you know,
that
when
they
he
started
comes out.
chanting John Cena sucks, like with his music.
Yeah, that's what I was about to bring up. John
There's
Cena
that small,
sucks.
mentality of people, which is in any sort of sport or any, you know, celebrity or anything like that. Whereas you will also get a small camp of people who are just automatically jealous of people's success, and so they have to throw it in. But I think it's basically become trait of who he is as a wrestler. So, you know, half the time people who are doing it, they're not nasty as such. It's just a bit of light heckling because that's what you do.
Well, the one thing that I do want to point out as well is, you know, Max Landis calls him Superman. I called him the Super Soldier. And Dax, you're familiar with comic books. You know what I'm talking about, don't you? The amalgamation.
Oh, yeah, he's Captain America.
Yeah, Captain America and Superman, the amalgamation that they did of the two, Super Soldier, from Anagram Comics. Basically, he's him. You know, he's the superhuman being who's been booked to never lose. But the problem is, you can't book that guy as the underdog. They did it with Hogan as well. Remember what they did with Hogan? They booked him against Bundy, against Andre the Giant, against Earthquake, and all these big dudes who were bigger than Hogan to make him look like the underdog. But we all knew when it was a foregone conclusion that Hogan would give him a big boot, leg drop,
the idea
done.
was, you know, the adversity. In Hogan, you know, is a big guy, but when you put up against Andre the Giant, you know, it's a hill to overcome, but you knew in the end, Hulk up, big boot, leg drop.
But even then, you know, the crowd turned on Hogan.
That was the part that really made me not really a fan of wrestling because of Hogan and how he would get beat down so bad countlessly, and then all of a sudden it's like spare moment, he eats spinach and all of a sudden he just gets his power back and start, you know, going crazy. I literally did not become a fan until I discovered Dusty Rhodes. That's the only reason why I'm still a wrestling fan to this day, because I was like a wrestling realist. And I could not get down with the WWE cartoon format of the 80s. It was not until like I actually got exposed by NWA and it felt very sport-like. You know,
that's the thing,
despite
though.
The fact,
that, you know, Vince is still booking that. You know, that's what they're trying to distance themselves away with.
He has no competition, so he could do whatever he wants again.
Yeah. So. The problem is we're not in that time anymore. Wrestling is wrestling. You know, to kind of reverse the pun. It is what it, you know, it's about letting these characters shine and let them expose themselves. And the problem is it's so tight at the moment. They've brushed Cena to one side now and they're trying to force Roman Reigns in there. And again, it's trying to be the white meat babyface. And people are just sitting there and they're revolting against the machine because they're like, this guy's not ready. He's green. You know, he's not at that level. So who are they siding with? The Stone Cold Steve Austin character, Dean Ambrose, who's anti-authority, anti-establishment. The guy who just acknowledges the fact that he's fucking crazy.
Yeah. Oh man, I made the comparison to you know, when everyone's calling Roman Cena 2.0. This is basically Hogan 3.0. But when Roman Reigns came out at number 19 in the Rumble, that is where Cena won it 2 years before. It was down to the fucking T. Like, Jesus, you couldn't try and throw him in at number 8 or 9, and then it would look like he's overcoming the odds a little bit more. You put him at the exact same number that Cena won. Jesus.
That's exactly it, and the problem is Vince keeps trying to force a movement when the movement isn't there. Do you know what I mean? It's
Make him look real strong movement.
Yeah, and that's the problem.
Right.
It's
Vince
not
is a
there.
man out of time in the sense that his head is clearly living in a different era than the rest.
Yes.
That's exactly it. Vince.
He is outdated.
Vince has been booking the same storyline forever. You know, when Vince, I'm sorry to say this, but
Vince
when
is a businessman who still runs on coal.
it's not that. He knows what works, and it does work. He can sell this to kids because it's an inspirational thing. Parents look up to Cena because they're like, he never gives up. Kids look at it and go, well, I love his coloured t-shirts, and he's a big, strong man who always beats the bad guy. He's a superhero. I agree on that. But as a wrestling fan, you look at him and think, this guy is a symbol of everything that is wrong with the wrestling industry. And, you know, the problem with Cena is, every time he gets put in a situation, they're like, oh, you know, is he going to get defeated? There is never, apart from the Nexus, and there has never been a situation where Cena has ended up the underdog. You know, or been forced, or that someone else's hand's been forced over Cena. And that's where the issue is, I believe. And I think
Formulaic, rinse and repeat. Job
exactly.
done.
Absolutely. Agreed.
Now going on from that, we've basically got some breaking news. Apparently Samoa Joe has signed a full-time deal with the WWE as well as
shit.
Kevin Owens. But on an episode of Superstars, Tyson Kidd has been injured. Nobody knows what the injury status is. Some say it could be, like, there's rumours going on in dirt sheets talking about vertebrae issues. Others saying it could be his neck. They're saying that it's a freak accident, that it didn't happen because Joe did it to him, that it happened because of a number of things. But they're still looking at the situation as it is, but they don't believe Samoa Joe is shouldering the blame on this. What do you think about this, Nick?
As far as the Tyson Kidd injury, you would hope it's not as serious as it sounds. But I don't think, I think Joe's muscle buster aggravated it. But it looks to me like he had been working with it for a while.
Mm-hmm.
So there's apparently this unwritten rule that you don't tell anybody that you may have an injury, and it's... I don't know. I don't think this is gonna derail Joe, because this is wrestling. Guys get hurt. Even you safest bumps can, just one wrong move, you end up with a busted foot like Rusev. I almost said Kozlov. I don't know why. Kid's spine injury. One of the Usos got hurt. He's been out for a while. It's a shame. It's wrestling, but...
I think the writing was on the wall for Kid and Cesaro anyway. I do believe they were going to probably split them up at some point, because I don't think they were going to stay together.
Of course, because you've got a great tag team. It's been, for years we've seen companies do this. Look at what they did
the Hollywood Blondes.
Yes. They just threw those guys together. Austin thought he was getting a big push. No, they threw him with Brian Pillman. They became a great tag team. Split them up.
Yeah. Oh, you're a great tag team. These guys are like on top. Yeah, let's split them up now.
Yeah,
no, brother, it's not for you, brother. Randy Savage
Cesaro.
Isn't for you, brother. It's not for you. It's not for you, brother.
Yeah, well, they just recently did, with Swagger and Cesaro. That was a great tag team. I love seeing.
It wasn't bad, yeah. The Un-Americans.
Yeah, well, I love mostly because of Zeb Coulter. It was awesome.
No,
Man,
brother. It's not for
fucking
you,
facial
brother.
hair.
It's not for you. It's not for you, Cesaro.
Yeah.
Not for you, brother. Not for you at all. But yeah, no, it's. I think what do you see the writing for Cesaro? What do you think is going to happen in terms of Cesaro, Dax? Do you think Cesaro is going to be lost in the shuffle, or do you think they're actually going to give him a bit more of a prominent role now?
It's so weird. It's so weird what they do with him. It's at this point. If this was like a couple years ago of Cesaro, I would still have high hopes, because I know what the capabilities of one Claudio Castelloni is at this point now, and I don't understand why they think, or why Vince thought that he has no potential, or was that just a smug, insult comment or whatever. I don't understand why they're not pushing this guy. but they're pushing Rusev like up to the roof.
I think it's a question of
just,
it's like Matt Burhan said, an extra member of the pack that you can just use to pad things out when you need.
The thing is, for me, I think out of anyone, he should be in the Money in the Bank match, even if it's just to show
Absolutely.
what he could do. To show his
Right.
chops. I know he's not
They
great
had
on
him
the
in
mic.
last year. You know that amazing sequence when, bam, uppercut, RKO. I don't know. It was like this bing, bang, boom, finisher after finisher just for Cena wins, LOL. Or no, that was the title match. But yeah,
It's a
Just-
for me, I think they could build him up. He could even be a good heel to work against Ryback, but I wouldn't even see him as a heel. I think he'd be a good face.
I would
Maybe-
love to put him in that position right there, so he could take that title from Ryback.
or even
I wouldn't
like
mind seeing him in that at all.
Well, there's rumors going around that Big Show's probably going to be ending up with the title. He could end up taking
Oh,
it from
son
Big
of-
Show, and end up becoming the new Intercontinental Champion. A Cesaro versus Big Show feud, I think money.
That might work because of what happened at WrestleMania, prior to. So
Yeah,
yeah,
both guys
I
have
can
won
see
the
that.
Andre the Giant Battle Royal.
Yeah.
Oh God, Mizdow should have won that.
Oh yeah.
So what about you, Dave?
I would-
What do you think they're going to do with Cesaro?
I I honestly don't know. I want to say he gets a fair crack of the whip, but I don't want to be a cynic. But I can just see him as someone that they can use regularly just to to pad out matches and that. I don't think he's gonna get the sort of impact he deserves because he's still got it in him. I think he's going to be a
Yeah.
B player, if that makes sense.
I mean, he could. I think he could have a run with the WWE. I think he's got more of that physique that Vince has the hard on for. Out of all the indie guys they've brought in, Cesaro seems to be like that one guy that has more of the, bodybuilder kind of physique. But I don't know.
And
It'll
this
be
is
an
a guy who
interesting one
looked
to
at-
watch to see where it does go. And
No, I
hopefully it
agree.
goes somewhere, but
They've got enough tag teams to pan out a tag team division. They don't really need them there, so that's a good thing.
No.
And they're still building more tag teams.
can I just quickly mention something? We go back to the injury.
Sure, go for it.
Which is, I agree with Nick on that, which is, I think sometimes when injuries happen and people always look for someone to blame, it's not fair because there's only so much a human body can take, even if you're at the top of your game and you're,
Right.
super fit and everything, because look at what these people do. And also, like Nick said, which is, it's a no-no if you want to try and get to the top of the WWE to say, by the way, I got a really, really sore fucking spine. So I think it's just a question of, all that this is, and hopefully it's not super serious, it's just a straw that broke the camel's back. You can
Do
only
you
rack up.
think he owed Vince one a bit too many times?
Yeah. I think you can only rack up so many small injuries before, without taking a break, then something that wouldn't necessarily, if you were 100% fine, even phase you, will have serious repercussions, if that makes sense.
I agree with that. And honestly, after I saw the actual footage of that, it looked like a freak accident. We've all seen him do that muscle buster so many times.
Yeah.
It was kind of like that.
Oh no.
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, what I was saying is, Joe was talking about it he was on Jericho's podcast, and he said, because where he got it from, he's like, that looks like hell. And he just kind of modified to where you go down to your back with it, as opposed to sitting out,
Yeah.
So
Yeah, and
it's
I
a
mean-
lot safer, but yeah, freak accident.
I think no more than Ryback's finisher.
The shell
Has
shock,
pretty
yeah.
much, has virtually almost the same impact, with the exception
Right.
that he jumps. He does a short jump and then going down. So nothing more than a suplex.
Right.
I mean, to be honest, that
And
just gives you a
stomps
bigger
around
impact.
the ring.
Yeah.
Which I get, I like that. It just kind of just show off just how powerful this motherfucker is. But
Mhm.
yeah,
Yeah, I wish Tyson Kidd the best, man. I mean, he's one of the most passionate and talented guys out there. So I'm hoping that he will recover. I hope it just won't be a mainstay. I hope it doesn't affect the family in any way. This is what what they go for, and this is why I hate when people always just like we all say, this cynical generation of ours just overlook the fact that these guys bust their ass to do this, and give them the respect they do for even if they don't know the techniques that well or they've been pushed too fast or whatever. What are you going to say? No? I mean, these guys are just doing what they wanted to do and trying the best they can at what they do. God bless them all.
Totally agree with you on that one. It's in the end, these guys work their asses off, and thanks to them that we get to see all this kind of entertainment. So going on from that, the WWE is interested in signing former TNA and Ring of Honor talent, New Japan talent, to pan out their NXT roster, because it's kind of showing that a lot of their guys and sort of divas are really green. So Dax, opinion?
As far as Triple H proving Vince wrong, yes.
Yes.
I mean, this is where pretty much kudos to Triple H for, first of all. I mean, the fact that he does have a passionate bone in his body and he's really proven it has really redeemed his character, both in and out.
Well, I've never put Triple H's. I've never knocked him. Yeah, he married the boss's daughter, but I think he would have been at the top one way or the other. He is that damn good.
I would say he's the big plus player.
There's no denying that. There's absolutely no denying. I agree with that.
Triple H is the Cesaro of the Attitude Era, in a sense. He's the Cesaro of the Attitude Era. He's the guy put in place to make the other guy look good. Kind of the foil to work with the protagonist. He's always a guy you could insert in any part of the card, and it'll always give you money.
But now his mindset to the future of wrestling is. It's a message of he knows what we want. He's doing what they did in the 90s when Vince used to always advocate giving the fans what they want. NXT is the WWE that we always wanted to see in his case. And now that he has all this talent, and yes, it is exposing a lot on the main roster. My key thing is, like, up until the point of Kevin Owens, I was wondering how Vince was feeling and how he was going to portray this, or was it, was his ego going to be on the line, because NXT is kind of outshowing the main roster, and we kind of saw that in some senses when Charlotte was brought up for that short bit on the week of their actual their wrestling special. I'm thinking that he might start to say, like, all right, there's something there, we can really do something, and now Kevin Owens is on the main roster representing NXT, so. I think there's some good things coming on for that finally. I think his ego is starting to get out of the way.
The thing is, I've always said Triple H is one of those guys who's learned so much about the business. He's got a mind for the business. He's never been a guy who wouldn't sit there and say that his opinion's better than anyone else's. He would always listen to everyone. And, Sean's always said that about him. Everyone... no matter if anyone's talked shit about Triple H, he's always said
and he plays by the rules, and he's a team player, basically.
Yeah, and he knows what to do that will benefit the business, because in the end, he wants to see the company grow, and he wants to see the company financially to be a big company.
Coming back to what Dax said, if you look at it in the 90s and where NXT is now compared to where WWE was, he knows what the fans want.
Hell, remember NXT what it was? Do you remember those shows? Those awful fucking game shows?
Oh, good God.
like the one where low key won, but he still got kicked out of the WWE.
Well, no, he quit.
He used as a jobber.
Yeah, he quit because he cashed in his NXT title match for the IC belt.
It's a quit fire type of thing. It's a weird back and forth discussion as to what really happened on that situation, but nonetheless, they dropped the ball on him majorly.
Well, he talked about it candidly and said that he left because he felt he wasn't getting pushed. He felt that he was just
he felt like they literally did just to sign him away from TNA. That's what it was.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Oh God, I remember those early NXT.
We don't really need him, but if we get him, we weaken our opposition.
Oh my God. I gotta bring this up because the Divas season was fucking awful. I mean, good God. Well,
remember the tall chick?
Original... Huh?
Wait, Nick, remember the tall chick that they end up letting go because they found photos of her?
Yeah.
And she was a really tall Amazon Yeah.
Oh god, it was like watching Big Show naked. Ugh.
Oh God! But hey, we got Caitlyn out of it, so that's a plus. But
Dude, I saw her
I
minge.
stopped watching that halfway through because they
that made me
crammed Michael
soft.
Cole's heel turn into it.
Oh, but that made me laugh. That was one of the shining moments of that show was Michael Cole's heel turn, Daniel Bryan beating the shit out of him, and every time The Miz tried to say something like, "You don't know what you're talking about. I am a pro," and CM Punk and William Regal just looking at him, going, "No, you're terrible. You're just terrible."
Well, that night Punk was doing commentary was just gold.
Yeah, and he was just like, "This is how they trained us in wrestling school." And spear, spear, spear. That's quite a spear that I see. At the end of the day, it brought us some funny moments, but I'm glad it's transitioned and become the legitimate wrestling company that it should have been.
Absolutely.
You know, they've kind of merged Florida Championship Wrestling with a high budget, high stakes, big facility. Triple H spearheaded it, and he's making it work. And you know, hopefully, we're going to get to see guys like AJ Styles. You know, with the company, we're going to get to see guys like Robert Roode if he decides to leave TNA. Austin Aries, apparently one of the reasons that he may not be re-signing with TNA is because he's looking at leaving to jump ship there and see if he can get his chance in the WWE finally. And the door's open. The fact is, guys like Samoa Joe and the T-shirt sales. His T-shirt went on sale and sold out within the first night.
The very night that he was revealed.
Yeah. So think about that, and Triple H has used that as the main reason they've signed him to a full-time contract. And now they're negotiating indie rates for these guys so that they're on partial contracts and they can work other dates. It's a great thing. It's a great little independent wrestling company. And I was kind of, I mean, they destroyed the brand extension because, you know, Vince hated fucking competing with himself, even though he wanted competition.
That's what he wanted to begin with.
Yeah.
You know, he wanted competition. That was the only way he could do it was in-house, and it worked for a while. I mean, I remember with 05 Survivor Series was a great Raw versus SmackDown match. You know, Orton, the sole survivor. Or wait, the survivor of his team 3 years in a row.
That was the one where The Undertaker came back and destroyed him, wasn't it?
Huh? And Taker came out, the Druids, casket on fire. It was great. Came in, destroyed the entire fucking, you know, SmackDown jobber roster, you know, fucking... Well, remember when they were walking out and each of the teams, and you saw all the... And you just see, like, the heartthrobs, the dicks, like... That was the shitty tag team invasion.
God. Why did you bring that back to fruition?
I wanted to bring it out because it was like, what the fuck? But those guys that started getting just... Taker's dropping everybody was great.
Do you remember the dicks?
But yeah, the brand extension was good for a while, and then it just... useless.
Yeah, but a lot of it was because Paul Heyman and Paul loved to argue. Vince wouldn't, you know, saw it as being antagonistic to the point where the relationship with the WWE was just destroyed. Paul thought he burnt all his bridges until Brock Lesnar went, "I need Paul back, he's my Jew." So, you know,
I do not question Brock for using those words.
Exactly.
Because I fear he will send me to Suplex City.
But that's the thing. It's when you look at it and look at the fact that it's transitioned now for NXT being the secondary brand, and even to me, it's a de facto brand. It's the brand that shines regardless of the Baron Corbins who are shit and the other greenhorns that were on the roster. You still have
Dana Brooke.
Yeah, and also the what's her name who's associated with the Carmella. Oh God, she's
okay. For the record, if Dana Brooke does that same pose one more time, coming down to that goddamn ring, I swear to goodness, I can't stand when she does that. I like the whole flip that you do thing, but when she start raising her hand up and doing the Gem and the Holograms thing, that just kills me.
I hear if you do that pose 10 times in front of a mirror,
we'll have to introduce you as
kills you.
I wish that was the case,
We'll have to introduce you as
Dave.
Wayne Brady because you're gonna have to choke a bitch.
I really wish to Candyman did, because that would give me something interesting to see when Dana Brooke's in the ring. At the moment, she's like Beth Phoenix without the talent. But we shall see. At the end of the day, it's about seeing what works. The great thing about NXT is basically that if something doesn't work, they can switch it and do something else.
Which is what my favourite thing about it. It's a constant work in progress. It's established itself, but it's not gone to the point where it's going, right, we're going to completely adhere to a specific set of rules or goals. because that's what you do in wrestling. No, they're not afraid to try new stuff, and if it doesn't work, they just move on and try something else, which is how it should be, because that's how you keep things refreshing.
Can we say the same thing for Adam Rose?
I believe he's the new. Oh fuck! What's his name?
Don't say C.J. Carter.
No, he's the new. Who's the fucker?
Jobber.
Who's the dude that was on the roster and was getting paid even though he wasn't even working matches? And then calls the WWE JTG. And the laughable thing is that you even called the WWE racist against him. I was like, dude, you collected a paycheck by sitting on your fucking asshole. They're not racist. They treated you like
wrote
a
a book
fucking...
on the way.
Exactly.
Oh my god. I did just finish reading that too. It's so good.
I mean, it's so good as in it's really bad because a lot of it's fabricated, or is it so good? Because I've heard people talk
good
trash
reviews
about
on it, actually.
Good reviews?
Yeah.
I liked it. I mean, he's telling a lot, and he doesn't, name names, but he basically, if there was a Hall of Fame for Heat, him and Chad would probably be the first inductees.
Oh, my God. It's a really good, candid, honest,
Yeah, I mean, JTG has no reason to lie. He's not trying to get back into the WWE, so he just tells it flat out like he saw it and the backstage bullshit.
But the thing is, that's the wrestling industry. It's like, if you don't want that bullshit, then I'm sorry, you're being a soft fucking kitten.
Well, no, because some people are idealistic, aren't they? And they go into things because they generally think they can make a difference and change, so...
No, but the thing is, when I was wrestling, I was bullied the shit out of, but I took it. That's part of the hazing. It's what you do. It's the mentality of the roster.
You don't think that there's some form, especially when it comes to our country, there is sort of boundaries that you have to do. And trust me, I mean, with the clash of cultures, there is some boundaries that you got to take, because you go too far, it can really get really bad.
But when it's a family environment, when it's that kind of social environment, the moment you start...
It's more political than family, though.
Yes and no. In terms of the way that WWE is, it's like, for instance, like, you remember all the red hot heat the Click used to get, and they didn't really do anything. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And people were just like, oh, the Click, they're taking over the roster, they were doing this, they're doing that. And then you realise that a lot of the heat between Brett and Shawn were because agents were instigating the fucking situation. Plus you had Sunny going back and forth saying that she was fucking both of the guys as well, which didn't help. And it kind of fucked everything up. And Shawn even sits there and goes...
So you could actually say it was definitely the descriptive term of what a double header is. Sorry.
Yeah, pretty much. It's basically... what they tried to do was, because that you could see the chemistry these guys had, the pure hatred they had, they kept pushing it to the point where it got nuclear, in a sense. And it nearly self-destructed. And a lot of it was due to Vince. A lot of it was due to everyone else. Hell, there was even a situation where Vince said in front of Kofi that he was bland and shit. And Kofi and Vince got into a fight because Jericho instigated it. So, if there were really any, racial... If it was that racist, Mark Henry wouldn't have had his $1 million fucking contract. You wouldn't have had Kofi Kingston still on the roster. Shelton Benjamin wouldn't have been a multi-time champion, even though he never got the world title. Which I thought was a stupid mistake.
I'm not saying it's true in this case, but sometimes people, say things like that because it's not gone the way they expect and don't understand that it's business.
There you go,
so
and that's the thing.
Yeah, it's easier just to be bitter and whip something out there than accept the fact that you're just part of a marketing machine and this is how it works. It's not racist, isn't it? It's business.
And Crime Time were attacked
the Michael Hayes situation.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Was kind of interesting. That I kind of, it's weird because Michael Hayes. I'm a fan of Michael Hayes. But what happened with him, it was like he's old school, and it's not like he did it in a way that it was like,
and he's from the South as well, isn't he? He's from the fucking South, for God's sake.
Right. But at the same time, I do truly believe that he has respect for my culture. It's just that he was within that time, and it's hard. It's really hard. It's a really hard thing. It's a double-edged sword situation. But obviously, like you guys said, Mark Henry is still there. He's, if it was really that bad to the point, everybody has the right to leave.
And the
At
thing
the end
is,
of the day.
people don't get it's a publicly traded company. Do you think people are going to get away with racism in today's social media environment? Right? No. You know,
No.
I don't,
Oh,
Not,
no.
not with their brands on the line.
Exactly. Everyone's expendable. Remember what happened with the Alberto Del Rio social media, that incident with Alberto Del Rio slapping the guy? He got released because he hit a man, right? You hit an employee who could have sued the company. Then when they realised what the guy did and it was proven, they fired the fucking idiot. To make, as long as they knew that they weren't going to get fucking sued, they fired
Similarities
the
between that and Jeremy Clarkson, just saying.
guy. No, but that's what I'm saying. It's like, in the end, you can't sit there and blame the company because you didn't get a proper push. At the end of the day, JTG had every chance to be more than what he was, but he never stood out. Same thing went for Shad, and I'm sorry, Shad Gaspard, loved the dude. You know, I when he turned heel, I thought he was going to be something big. He wasn't, because he was bland. They had no character, they had no
That's
gimmick.
what you said. It's a publicly floated company, right? So if you don't like the fact that someone didn't put you in the position you wanted to be in, whether it's nice for you or not, look at it from their side of things, which is ultimately if they're floating on the stock, then they do what's in their best interest ultimately to make money.
And
you don't
that's
like
exactly
that,
it.
Sorry, you signed up for a business model of a company.
And he also collected a paycheck. He was one of the longest running guys collecting a paycheck in the company, who was utilised as jobber fodder. Hell, it was literally half the time he was in catering because they didn't have any use for him. When he wasn't on Superstars or on one of the B shows, he wasn't being used. And the guy was making money sitting on his ass. The fact that they kept him around for that long, and dudes complaining, I'm just sitting there and I'm like,
Well,
okay.
Mark Henry also was there for that long on a contract too, and but I mean, the contrast between the two is that at least Mark Henry really changed. He changed up. That whole chocolate, that sexual chocolate thing went right away, and he changed. He changed his whole thing up and kind of got gangster on you.
Yeah, and
it worked.
The Hall of Pain, it worked.
Yeah,
the thing
and it
about
worked.
Henry can laugh, Henry can smile. Do you remember when it was him versus Randy Orton, and they did that whole thing with the Raw roster against Randy Orton? He comes in the ring, and he stands. He's like, Orton, I respect you. I too respect you. And he stands at the microphone. He's getting ready to get off the ring, and then the ref started to count him out, and then he stops the ref, gets in the ring, and destroys him. Do you remember that? And you just sat there and you're like, whoa, what the fuck? It was great. It was amazing. The guy
Nothing
had
was more proven with. Hold on. Nothing was more proven with Mark Henry than his promo. His supposed
his retirement
promo.
one. Yeah, the trolling one. That was brilliant.
That sold him. That sealed his stability forever.
Yeah, I'm coming home, baby. Daddy's coming home. Everyone's fucking in tears. And then Cena just shakes his hand. And he grabs Cena and fucking slams him to the ground.
Bam!
And just like, it was brilliant.
With that damn jacket, with that damn salmon colored jacket, too. I absolutely love it.
When someone as big and as strong and as powerful as Mark Henry, you don't you don't make fun of him wearing a salmon-colored jacket.
No,
You'll be a
sir.
goddamn pancake.
That's why he probably got it from like Vincent McMahon's wardrobe, though, because that looks like something Vince would probably wear. But saying that, then that's the thing. And looking at someone like JTG, I think the WWE now knows how to utilize talent. Yeah, sometimes they get it wrong. Don't get me wrong. Like Daniel Bryan early on, they got him wrong. They got all their utilization of small guys got that wrong. And the ones that they used to be a lot more biased against were the short guys, were the guys who weren't the size or the build, and they're laxing up on that now because they're seeing talent. And with Triple H at the helm, that's the way that the company's going.
Yeah.
That's the direction that they're going in. And I agree 110% that the company's doing everything right. And guys like JTG, I think for him, he's probably a bit sour because he's not on NXT. He's not the guy helping other guys make their careers. He's not doing what Tyson Kidd was doing before being called back up to the main roster.
Tyson Kidd's another example of that. I mean, he didn't really have anything until he got into NXT, and he changed his whole entire thing. He changed his whole entire gimmick, man.
Yeah, he turned into like an arrogant heel with boy band music who loved cats. And it worked. It got him over.
Absolutely.
And, and in the end, he had like a personality and an attitude. And that's the thing. And Shelton Benjamin was saying as well, he wants to come back to WWE one day, but he doesn't know if they would even accept him back now because he's over 40. But it's one of those things where you can look at it and go, you know what? There is a place in the WWE for anyone, and that's the thing. And I want to point this out as well. Shelton Benjamin. If they were really that racist, do you think Shelton Benjamin or any black athlete in the WWE would have a championship? Do you think The Rock, who's, I know that most of the world, but he's Samoan, he's half Samoan, half black. Do you think the guy would have been...
He's minority.
Yeah.
Point plain and simple.
Yeah. Do you think the man would have had several championships under his belt, a movie career, and be promoted as one of the premier stars? Even if he wants to work a
Anyone
match,
come back to the company.
yeah, he'll jump over anyone to have a match. Do you know what I mean?
It's like anything, though, isn't it? Personality and the ability to follow orders sells from a business perspective. Someone who's just got a level of self-expectance, then they're immediately putting themselves at the back of the queue.
It's what Jim Cornette would say, right? It's your ability to draw at the gate. If you can bring something to the table, it will shine. Austin was always said to be the guy that could never draw money. Eric Bischoff fired the guy based on that factoid, and Austin proved him wrong. He went to WWE. They were going to use him as like kind of a shoot wrestler, kind of a B-plus player on the roster. The dude shone brightly above everybody else because his talent got him over. Right?
Well, it's like anything, isn't it? You don't like the cards you've been dealt with, well then prove them wrong. But just sit there and piss and moan about it being not fair is not going to make any difference whatsoever.
Well, as Shia LaBeouf would say, just do it! But, you know, it's one of those things, you got to go look at it and think to yourself, okay, this is what it is. If I'm not happy in my situation, maybe it's time to move on to somewhere else and prove what I can do. It happened with Christian, it happened with loads of different talents as well, who've managed to perfect their game and then come over. When Joe basically didn't come over because he wanted to perfect himself, he proved that he was worth money, and look at him now. He is basically going to go from strength to strength. I believe after Finn Balor, Joe is going to be the next NXT champion.
Well, it's like anything. It's an old cliche, I know, but it's whoever said that life and the business model should be fair. You don't like the cards you've dealt, then prove, like you just said, but prove them wrong. But don't just fucking lie down and just go, oh, it's not fair. It should be this, it should be that. Not how it works. Especially when you're working for a company that basically, thrives on, talent, and that's based because that's how they sell their brand around the world and make all their money. So, if you don't like what they don't like about you, fix it. Otherwise, you knew what you signed up for when you joined, WWE.
That's exactly it.
It's sports entertainment, people. It's not sport, so it's basically be at the top of your game, or you're never going to get picked.
Now, last but not least, before we go on to kind of the pay-per-view stuff, let's talk about Tough Enough. Who's been watching the Tough Enough videos, and what does everybody think of the hopefuls at the moment? I've been watching a lot of them, and most of them are, grrr, I'm angry, or I've had a tough life. There's been
That's why yours was so funny.
They've had like some comedic stuff going on. For those who don't know, check out my channel. I did one saying that I was tough enough to be an announcer. I don't think the WWE liked it very much, so I think they'll just sit there going, announcer? Why has the guy done this? But yeah, I did that. But a lot of them, like going through for the Tough Enough contenders, I can see this being another silent rage. I've got a funny feeling whoever gets picked out of these hopefuls, even though they're trying to sell it at the moment, I just don't really see Tough Enough being that great this year. And that's not because I'm not on it, guys. 110%. I did my video knowing that I wasn't going to get picked, but I just wanted to do something outside the box to see.
Exactly. It was satirical of the other videos.
Yeah, pretty much. And it was just to see what I could come out of, if I could end up, because I was like, if it gained steam and then I got on the Tough Enough roster, I would have been fucking surprised. But I don't think anyone from the United Kingdom's got on there. Anyone from any other country.
I know he was satirical and joking and stuff. But this is why it was good, because most of the other, like you said, most of the other Tough Enough stuff is just grrr, anger, and it's like, but this is what everyone's doing. Like the last time I got angry was I had a flat tire. It doesn't sell sports, even if it is WWE and stuff like that. It's like, just because the bloke in front of you did it and it got hit, don't do it yourself, because I just look at it and I just go, oh great, another angry one. Oh, you're angry as well. Imagine that. I'm so surprised.
Yeah,
or
and
I'm athletic.
Yeah, that too. And a lot of these guys, I was checking out the Tough Enough website recently, and a lot of the new ones that have been added on, they've got a couple of fat guys in there and stuff. but nobody
Mm-hmm.
has stood out, because I've watched the majority of the videos and no one has stood out. They've all just been very
A
bland.
proper old school English thespian doing it. Hello, lovies.
But that's the thing. I think
I
it's...
told Michael that he should have did the Lord Alfred Hayes gimmick, the promotional consideration paid for by the following.
I
And
should
just
have
did a
done.
bunch of
Yeah.
mimic items.
I should have had the hairpiece as well. I've got my white hairpiece around there. I could have done that as well. Just gone hammed up the
An
racism.
opportunity, Burhan.
But that's the thing. I think, for me, being someone that's that basically I did it with no intention to get on there. But I was I sat there, I submitted it, and I thought, if it happens...
You don't stand out by doing what everyone else has done.
No, exactly it.
That's
I was just like, I want to do something that at least I want the people who've seen the video to have a chuckle. I want the people screening this, whoever's screening these videos, to have a chuckle and go, that guy's a fucking idiot. Just to basically see it. But for the other Tough Enough guys...
Just to laugh.
Yeah. And I hope...
I got a kick out of it.
Yeah,
I liked it.
I think everybody, the feedback was extremely positive. I had nearly 30 comments from people saying that they wished that I did get picked. But,
You'll be the guy getting F-U'd or F5 by fucking Brock Lesnar and your shoe goes flying. Rest in peace, Burhan's shoe.
You know what? I would love to basically just be there on the commentary team and get destroyed. I would not give a fuck. I'll be like, who's going to beat me up today? And just come into work with a big smile on my face until they release me.
Someone needs to do it in the style of the bloke from Anchorman, sorry, just go, whammy!
But that's the thing. I think it's, in terms of anything, in terms of what they're doing at the moment with Tough Enough, I don't see the show standing out on its own 2 feet. I do think that, with Daniel Bryan being on there, with Paige being on there as kind of the judges, Billy Gunn
Mother of
being the
Canaries.
trainer. Yeah.
Raven-haired goddess.
I don't really see anyone, unless someone's basically... There's a sleeper, which they might have a ringer in there. I don't think anyone...
All I can say right now is there's a whole lot of bland.
Pretty much, and it's a shame.
Yeah, we're going to get another Silent Rage, and then the one person that's going to stay with the company is the worst female in the fucking show.
Oh, yeah, I remember that. But, going on from
Hey, for
that...
what it's worth, we had a lot of good Stone Cold moments.
That's true. The fact
man.
he was making those kids
the
piss
meme
themselves.
that keeps popping up online, the Austin laughing and then just immediate serious face. I love it.
The fact that
He's the master of what he does, boy.
made most of these kids piss themselves as well, which was fun. But the whole Silent Rage gimmick, I set my watch to it. When he said, you've got this whole Silent Rage thing, I just sat there. Even Austin was sitting there going, what the fuck am I doing?
Wait, did you remember when he sung the Christmas version of Silent Rage?
Oh, God.
He was like, your name's Silent Rage. Silent Rage.
Holy rage. I'm just having fucking
dying when he did.
I just don't understand how
and
Cameron got a
this
fucking
year,
deal, though.
Wait, this year is Jericho's the host, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not. Yeah.
This Jericho invented Tough Enough.
Me and Jericho have never had a good stance. I would believe if he saw my video, he would have like, I knew that guy. That guy sent me a letter, basically threatening to sue me if we, didn't include him in the credits for our show, because he kind of stole my This Job for Hire idea, and tried to make it into his own little sitcom, which didn't work. And it made me laugh, because I was like, can you guys at least put me in the credits? I don't care that you're stealing my... And I didn't go like cease and desist. I was like, just put my name in the fucking credits and give me credit for stealing my idea. And they're like, we worked on this for 10 to 15 years. I was like, don't chat shit.
Of course you did.
Come on. But going on from that, it's one of those things. It's going to be on USA. I don't think I'm going to watch it, to tell you the truth. My focus is going to be on the NXT and the main product. But I would love to see what, if they do end up with another Silent Rage, what the NXT's developmental product will do with this individual.
I will be watching it simply for the train wreck moments.
It's going to be a train wreck.
There's going to be loads of
Yes.
those. So
someone's going to... If someone doesn't... I guarantee it. Someone's got to say that Jerry Lawler versus Michael Cole was their favorite match of all time. We got to do some Tom Molina versus Alicia Fox, because at least those two are actually wrestlers, and one wasn't a commentator who got drug into a feud that went 3 months longer than it fucking should have.
the main thing
As we
is,
like to call it in this country, taking the joke to the dead laugh area.
the main thing is on this as well. You just got to think about it this way. The NXT's development, the developmental league is actually a lot better in comparison to when FCW was about. So we'll see what happens, but I don't see any of this meaning a damn thing, apart from a bit of an extra revenue stream for the WWE because I like to do things out of the box.
It's just an event for the simple sake of making money. It's not going to have any real lasting repercussions or genuine effect.
Yeah, it's like, for me, it's like the Jericho podcast, the Stone Cold podcast. I love the Stone Cold podcast because Austin is a fucking character and a half. When I see Jericho, he's like, yeah, remember that story? Remember that thing we did? That was funny, wasn't it? It was funny. It's funny. It's funny.
It's very 80s rock DJ with his podcast.
And then he's like spending an hour and a half plugging shit and then goes back to the conversation where Austin kind of digs deep and gets... And Austin's like, tell me, about this. Tell me about this. Tell me about this. And Austin's always on the pulse.
He's a great interviewer.
Yeah, because he always wants to get into the rough questions. He doesn't give a shit about the in-betweens. Jericho's kind of like having a drink with his casual friends. Do you know what I mean? So I can see there's going to be a difference between the atmosphere between these guys unless they get one of the other guys like Daniel Bryan to be kind of the more physical, straight man, if that makes sense. The guy who's like, you know what?
But also though, Mike, to me, don't get it twisted. I love Chris Jericho, in his career, but he also comes off like a company dude. Like he's a businessman, and he knows when not to step out and when not to say things. Whereas Austin is just like, I'm going to say what I feel. It's pro wrestling, damn it. And that's the way it's going to be.
When Austin was talking about the stunner, and the other thing when he was talking about the stunner thing with Heyman, and Heyman asked him what he felt about it, and Austin was just like, well, it looks like a piece of shit. Because he missed the opportunity to sell the thing. He goes, I like John. I think John's one of the greatest champions that we've had in the roster, but I just felt like it's a wasted opportunity. And I agree with him a whole 110% on that, and he spoke his mind about it. And he said, I don't mean anything negative by it, but I just felt like he could have used a kind of a litany of other moves, but he decided to use that one, and it means less than nothing. Because it's a setup to something else.
Right.
Which is, the funny thing is, it's actually a more powerful move in comparison to the AA. Just saying.
Right.
But I hate the idea of a springboard stunner.
I agree with him too. I think he's going to blow his back doing it. It just looks like it's one of those moves that, eventually... It reminds me of like it reminds me of Hayabusa's springboard, moonsault that crippled him.
Yeah.
It kind of feels like it's going to turn into one of those moments.
Yeah, it's basically the stunner is always a move that should have been performed standing up and when you hit it down, because the more the impact, because you're getting the jaw and the jaw goes flat down. When I've seen him, when he tries to hit the move, he tries to hit it, and half the time he's not even getting a grip on the person's neck because he's concentrating on the fucking springboard part. And then he just looks like he's botching the fucking thing, and it's terrible. Now, going on from that, let's go on to the pay-per-view. So, Nick, take it away, and let's talk about Elimination Chamber.
Oh man, this ended up being really interesting. It's some good moments, some bad moments.
I will say though, one really shitty moment, and then this is the thing that was built up for the entire fucking time before the pay-per-view. For the 2 weeks they built this thing up as the caveat of this pay-per-view, which was the chamber.
Which one? The Intercontinental title?
Yeah.
Oh my god, this was a standard, boring as hell chamber match where once again champs are fucking chumps, because who was the first one eliminated? By R-Truth of all people.
And he was mine and Dax's pick to win this thing, R-Truth was our pick to win it.
Yeah.
Put me under the bus. Yeah.
And it was just, Sheamus pulled a really insane, nice little heel move. He locked himself in the chamber.
That annoyed me because it wasn't even like the thing about Sheamus. I think people don't understand the difference between heel heat and X-Pac heat. I don't think his gimmick is getting over at all. I think people just don't like it. because he's like, ooh, look, I'm bad. Do you look how nasty I am? I kill puppies and kittens. Look at me. Look how evil I am.
Yeah.
Ha 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 ha. It's just terrible.
Going back to what you said though, on the sheer utter amount of hype they gave it, and then when it came out, it to me just felt like painting by numbers.
Especially in comparison to the tag team one, because the tag team one was everything an Elimination Chamber should have been. This was just like...
You know what?
I
Obviously,
think
New Day won.
This was written
That
on the
one.
back of a napkin in a bar when they came up for how it should be played out.
it's not just that. They put too many slow guys in it. You had too many big guys. Like, Sheamus isn't a fast-paced guy. He's slow.
No.
So you put him in the
Ryback.
match.
Mark Henry.
Yeah.
Mark Henry was the guy that replaced Rusev.
Right.
Big mistake. I think they could have had an opportune time to have Cesaro in that match. I would have loved if Cesaro came in as...
Cesaro would have been so good.
Yeah. Even if he was putting over the other guy.
Right. And for the record, Nick, Paul Heyman used to write bookings in a napkin, so that's not so bad.
Yeah.
That's true. And,
But
and the whole thing with this, though,
Lost
it was...
Matt Doris in the tag match was the first one eliminated, and no one was shocked by that because that's the only reason they were in there.
They were in the match?
It was... Yeah.
Go in it for a cup of coffee.
Mini Bull was on top of the chamber pod for a while.
And that was the only that was like the really cool moment right there, because that
Actually-
landed perfectly.
Actually, I retract what I say about napkins, because didn't the artist Picasso once, when he was broke, draw something on a napkin so he could get a pie in a restaurant, and then that napkin went for auction a couple of years ago for like £5 million. So
Yes.
napkins have their
Jesus.
place.
But that's the thing. Think about it here. When you've got that, which is like fast paced, you had loads of great spots, like with the what's it called, Lucha Dragons. You had like one of them like on the top of the cell.
What's funny is they were mirror opposites of each other.
They were. You're right. One was very paced, very fast, and you had some extremely cool spots. The other one had a bunch of big guys who couldn't really do much, and the guys
my
that
internet wasn't lagging; it was that slow.
yeah, you had guys like R-Truth and Barrett who were faster paced,
Right.
get eliminated earlier on. Then you had Sheamus just picking everybody apart, and it wasn't even looking. It didn't look legit. It was just him going around kicking people.
Yeah, but this is what I said. That's why I thought it was painted by numbers, if you know what I mean. Which was, it was just
It was,
going through
quick
the
couple
motions.
eliminations. The big heel was going to come in, wreck everybody, and then the overcoming babyface Ryback comes in and wins.
The thing is, I don't mind Ryback winning the championship. I just got an issue
I don't
with the
either.
fact on how
It's
it
like a
happens.
Haynes manual.
Me
Do you
neither.
guys have Haynes manuals in the States? Which are basically, or like almost like Windows
Unless
for
they're-
Dummy books. Which is, here you go,
Oh,
page,
yeah.
everyone
Oh, we
in
got-
this match, everyone page 57. That's what we're doing.
Yeah, it just
Well,
seemed
here's
really.
the thing. Here's what I got out of it though. It was pretty much at the end. It was a match with no real story told by the competitors, which led me to believe that this is a cage full of people who are not ready to be at the top.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. And
Plain and
Sheamus is a former world champion. Barrett is a
Right.
former world champion. R-Truth, and I believe the hardest workers in there
Barrow's
were
never a world
Dolph.
champion. He's like a 5-time Intercontinental champion, but
But do you know what I mean? And he's also someone that I believe has been in the main event who knows how to tell the story.
Yes.
Barrett and Truth were the good competitors in this match. So was Ziggler. Everybody else and Mark Henry, former world champion again. They just seemed very slow, very sluggish, and they didn't really know what they were doing with one another. And it's a shame.
No psychology at all.
No, none of it. And
No,
they
it-
tried
it
to
was
Sheamus.
boring.
Yeah, and that's the thing. And Sheamus tried to put out the psychology, like I'm the big heel, but again, he was just like he was strangling cats. He was just the guy could have literally
I'd
just
pay to
got.
see him do that for real, actually.
Well, he could have got out into the audience and pissed on one of the audience members, and he still wouldn't have got any reaction. Do you know what I mean? The guy would have probably just sort of sat there and went,
What's your point?
"Yeah, what's the point of this? No, but I'm
Why'd
a
you
bad.
do that to me?
I'm a bad guy, fella. I'm a bad guy." You know, it's just
Fuck.
like no. You've just got a
Like-
weird fucking haircut, and you look like you're a fucking reject out of Mad Max. Seriously.
I again, he looks like it's like Foghorn Leghorn got an Irish accent and became a wrestler.
Yeah, and it's a shame because Sheamus is capable of a lot more, and he's proven that he has been. But he's always been booked in these scenarios where he doesn't know what his fucking like wrist hold from a wrist lock, And he's a guy who's been doing it for God knows how long now, and a lot of the reason they kept him on is because of his size. You know,
Right.
His size and his look, and also probably the fact that he keeps getting cast as Bebop or Rocksteady in a movie.
Rocksteady.
It's very confusing for me. I really, really hope that he can find a position for himself, because at the moment, I think his current gimmick that he's on is a loss.
Find his lot, basically. Yeah, I agree, because he's a man out of space, to quote sci-fi, or man out of time, if you know what I mean. Like, which is what I see. You've got something quite there, but can you kind of nail it in one direction? Because you've got your hand in too many pies right now, and it's not really working.
Yeah, it's like, what are you doing? I don't understand what you're doing. I'm a heel. Okay. I just beat the living crap out of that
To quote
guy.
Samuel L. Jackson from Die Hard 3, not even God knows what you're doing.
It's literally that. It's like he could hold everybody hostage in the arena and people just be like, oh, it's Sheamus with a gun. Point.
Bang.
Yeah. And he's like, I killed someone. Yeah, you're just doing that to look bad, aren't you? And he's just like, you know, the fans will just like sit there and just stare at him like whimsically about what the fuck he's doing. So going on from that, we've covered the 2 Elimination Chamber matches. We've had Ryback win the Intercontinental Championship. The Tag Team Championships were were retained by New Day due to the 3-man rule that was implemented earlier on by
Well, that was
Kane.
because all 3 of them got to be in there because they helped Kane out on SmackDown. SmackDown the week before. So whatever.
And they played the heels really well in that match.
Yeah.
You know, the 3 of them really went to town. They really picked their spots. And they made the save at the end. I did love as well what happened between Kid and Cesaro's team, and was it the Lucha Dragons? Where Cesaro gets pinned. No, it was the Primetime Players, where they were teaming up and they seemed all buddy, and then the next minute Cesaro gets pinned. He's like, "What the fuck?"
Yeah.
I love that.
Well, you know what? They are. The New Day is another example, much like Cena, where their heat was legit, and when they started, when the New Day started, embracing it, and they saw that, people started respecting it, and now it's a fun thing to do.
Yeah,
So
it's
now when you
basically
say
they're
New
the
Day
new
sucks,
Freebirds.
It's the Angle heat. Yeah, it's the Kurt Angle heat now.
They're the parody of themselves, basically.
Absolutely.
Well, they use the heat that they're getting. They outright turned him heel, and it's worked. Yeah. And we'll see who's gonna end up finally taking the belts off of them.
Then we had the women's title match, which was literally you could sneeze, and that fucking match just would have gone by. It was like sneeze pin.
I was a little bit disappointed with that because this is normally the point where I use it to go for a piss.
Yeah, and you didn't have time to go for. I literally had my cock out and then it was done. It was literally done. They came in, someone got pinned. Done.
Nikki wins, LOL.
Yeah, it's literally. I don't know if it's seen as sperm or what, but suddenly she's become Superwoman.
It's the transitive property of John Cena's dick.
I
and
agree.
apparently he didn't have enough left because, oh my God, yes, Kevin Owens pins John Cena clean. It took 2
pop-out power bombs. The second one.
I know the kicking out of everybody's finisher is the thing, and Owens did kick out of an FU. He got out of the STF, yada yada yada. I know attitude. It's called the attitude adjustment. Fuck you. I'm calling it the FU.
You know what? I would really, really love for the guys at the Elimination Chamber Intercontinental title match to sit down and watch Owens versus Cena to show what a story. This match had little to no build. Literally, little to no build. It was
all Owens. I mean, Owens is building this thing up. He comes on, he's stepped on the U.S. title, he's dropped Cena. Fucking, I know the accolades. 15 World Championships, 2 Royal Rumbles, 57 different stupid T-shirts, and 1,000 ways to
I love
suck.
that one. I love that one
And
so much.
it's, oh man, and we got this drives me, the package pile driver tees. Fuck.
That was good.
I love that. Oh, I love that.
I love
so
how
much.
he turned it into the power bomb. I was like, oh god, please just. I wanted to see him just drop Cena. But then I'm kind of glad he didn't because, Cena would have kicked out at 2.
And he did sell the stunner. He sold Cena's stunner. He did it properly as well. He basically stood there and took it. When Cena jumped off the ropes, hit him with the stunner, Owens took it, sold it like a fucking champ, and went back. And, there was so many near finishes on this. There was times where we sat there and we're like, fuck, Cena wins LOL, and then he kicks out and you're like, what the fuck? And it really got your blood pumping. It was an amazing setup. It worked really well. And these two guys left it all in that ring. Cena, for 2 pay-per-views in a row, Cena has basically thrown himself into a match where he was spent. I mean, you could literally feel the sweat beaming off these guys' heads. And for someone like Owens, who's a more physically dominating character, he was having his ass handed to him. He legitimately sold it, but then came back, and it was literally that you could tell that he worked hard for that win.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. And it was amazing.
Michael, I got a question for you. You being the experience of any of us, you've obviously seen the actual package power driver. Is it me, or is that possibly
I've taken it.
It looks like it's me, but it looks like all right, great. Then you could definitely answer this question. Is it possibly the safest driver ever?
No.
Or the most dangerous?
Most dangerous, if done incorrectly, because you've got to rely on the other person to hold you.
In his strength.
Yeah. To hold you, your legs between the knees, pretty much similar. But it goes,
and hope to God you remember to give him a Christmas card the year before.
Do you know, like Owen Hart, when he did that power driver and he landed on his ass? That's what the package power driver has. So he has to have you at an elevated point. So just enough so that you're covered by his leg, and enough to bring you down. So as soon as he brings you down, there's enough cushion there to soften the blow when your head hits the mat, because otherwise you're one.
So you're saying it's one of the most difficult ones to sell?
Yeah, difficult to set up, but it looks fucking amazing. But it is dangerous, and I think Owens could do it as a champ.
When I used to see him do it, especially for smaller guys, smaller, lighter guys, it felt like, or it just looked like that he was easily able to do it and make it look like they hit the ground, but actually didn't hit the ground.
Right, so even on NXT,
they would bounce.
He could drop Sami Zayn with it, bam.
Yeah, they could bounce. What happens is, as soon as they hit down, you jump out. You're popping out. In a sense, it's like normal power drivers. It's not like the Undertaker's one where he'll bring you down and it looks stiff, but it looks like you're protected. With this one, it's kind of similar in a sense to, remember Pete Williams' driver, where he
the
would
Canadian Destroyer,
the Canadian Destroyer, the kind of moonsault into a power driver.
The flip power
flip,
driver,
yeah.
You're saying it looks organic when they hit the mat, as opposed to...
Yeah, it looks like you could legitimately sell this. But the problem is, if someone does it that's not experienced, your neck is broken and your career is over, and you're probably in a wheelchair.
I just lean forward to them if I wasn't happy before and say, if you kill me, I'm totally coming back and haunting your ass for the rest of my...
Well, that's probably the reason. That's probably the reason why they got him not to do it in the WWE. That you have to do something else. But the pop-up powerbomb looks just as devastating, in my opinion.
Oh yeah,
See, I love a good powerbomb finish, and man.
I like to think, though, that the WWE grooms the wrestlers for their technical ability before they attempt, when they write in and they attempt these sort of serious power drivers. That there is some sort of protective system in place.
Actually, it's a no-no to even perform a power driver now.
Especially in the WWE. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a no-no because it's anything that looks like it's going to damage your head or your neck, they won't allow you to do.
Well,
because you deprive them of an asset.
No, because if someone gets crippled, they're going to sue, and it's bad on the company as a whole, especially for concussions.
With the exception of the Undertaker.
Yeah, but when Taker does it,
because he's dead, so he can't pull anything.
Well, when Taker does it, there's always that protection there. You can see that the person's protected. With these variations of it, even with the sit-down variation of it, it's like, remember when Austin broke his neck? The reason why his neck got busted was because Owen basically was supposed to do the tombstone variation. Instead, he bent his knees and just went straight, and Austin's head was underneath his ass, and he just cracked his neck. You know, you got to look at that and you think, okay, am I? You know, for me, I would never, unless I knew the person and I was comfortable, I wouldn't take a power driver from anyone.
Well, it's an interesting little tangent based upon this. There's a whole bit we've been talking about, which is when you said that, you know, they don't do it so much in WWE now, or which is, what is the most costly lawsuit they've had from one of their, you know, listed wrestlers?
Darren Drozdov.
Dross.
And that's when he took the lowdown, which was like a version.
Suplex.
Yeah, it was a version of a power bomb. He lifted him up, and when he went up, when he came crashing down, he landed straight on his fucking head, and he paralyzed him. They didn't get a lawsuit out of it because they paid him. I think they're still paying him today.
Oh, so they just basically just accepted it and paid it off.
They took care of
Well,
him.
not
yeah.
only that, they really took care of him. Now, like, he was even hosting like Bite This back in the day, which was like the early, you know, before, you know, internet TV was a thing. Bite This was the thing back in the day, and he used to do segments on air. So yeah, they really look after him. So
And he was
no way.
writing
I didn't know
columns
they were
as
still
well.
looking after him.
Yeah, they
say it
basically they were still looking after him from what I remember, what I know, because the one thing Vince always does, and I have to give that to Vince McMahon, if you're injured or if you die or if anything happens to you, he will always do what he can to support you until you've decided you've had enough. Like Vicky Guerrero, they'd probably never released her. She probably decided that she wanted to finish up with the WWE and do something else. But they always like looked after Eddie passed, you know, and it's one of those things where, and she was the one who wanted to go on the road, you know, and they never asked her to do it. She wanted to do it, and she took the ball and ran with it. And you know, with them, Vince, and it's a family environment. They will always, and this is what I keep saying to people: no matter what people say about the company, they will look after you. But in like indie feds. I've seen people like, hey, I'm fucking one of those people who ended up getting injured in an indie fed, and my whole career went down the toilet because
Is that your ankle?
Yeah, my ankle's done. I've been trying to like train on it, wrestle on it. No, it's done. You know, I was hoping to come back for at least one match. I probably could do, but that
It
would
must
be
be in
it.
reasonably good shape because you destroyed your bike with it.
Yeah, but there's a difference between using like forward motion. Like I can run on this ankle. One of the reasons I had to stop jogging.
Impact, you're saying.
Yeah, one of the reasons why I had to stop jogging was because the ankle was hurting a lot. Because it would, every time I would jog, the ankle would balloon. There would be days where the ankle would just balloon up. I've been told that I'll probably will end up to the point where I could get carpal tunnel in my ankle.
Wow.
But it's one of those things. I can feel it, but I can't. It's not as bad as it used to be. You know.
Wear copper.
So you know, I'm not. It's one of those things. It's been there. It's done. It's my own fault. I've moved on from it. You know, I've even made peace with Alex Shane about that situation.
Well, was
so
it your own fault?
Yeah, dude. At the end of the day, no one forced me to go back when I was literally injured. I could have said no, but I didn't.
Yeah,
And this is
but
what
that's it.
I've always said
You were
about this
injured by the
company.
failings of another.
Doesn't matter. It was up to me. I got in the ring with him, and that's the way it goes. You know, it's partially my fault as well as the other guys. And then I went and wrestled the second match and ended up basically tearing the fucking thing off the bone. So it's one of those things you got to look at it as that in that retrospective. When these guys put themselves in the ring, no one is telling you to do something.
No, I know, and I've said that before, but there should also be, you know, some level of proficiency in there before these things were even set up to guarantee that someone doesn't, you know, suffer any more an injury than just what they would get in a normal wrestling match.
I would
They
say
do-
this.
they
It's
do
the word of the
have-
Indies, though.
I would call wrestling the same thing as anything else. It's passion. It's like, for instance, look, you know, you guys have said it with me when it comes to my acting, my directing, my producing video content and stuff. I'm passionate. Do you know what I mean? I'm stone broke at the moment. I'm on the verge of losing my home, and I'm still doing this when I could be basically working or begging on the streets or something. You have to have passion. The same thing goes for pro wrestling. most of these guys don't get. You see these guys killing themselves for $5 a night, literally putting on 5-star matches, breaking their necks. Fuck Dax ECW. These guys weren't getting paid much, and they were killing themselves.
Not a damn. With barely any insurance or any, damn if you had medical. At least Paulie had like an ambulance there.
Yeah.
You can't say anything for the even lower level indies.
And there's still a ton of them. There's a ton of them who will tell you to do stuff. I've seen guys pay to get work in the indies. They will pay someone to work in their promotion. Never had a day worth of training. I've seen
There was a
video
I'll give them a 10 if they want to come around my house and I can crack a plank over the back of their head.
I've seen Brandon work in a Fed where this guy allowed his own son, I think this kid was like 12, to get in the ring and wrestle another wrestler who nearly destroyed the kid. Right?
Wow.
And this is the thing you got to look at that whole thing. You have to have a lot of passion to work in it. Rockstar Spud, right? Here's a true story. Rockstar Spud, I remembered him when he was training with me, and he was a small boy. And then he went and worked under a mask. And now, look at him. If this guy didn't have the passion since he was a kid, because I remember he was a little kid, I was pushing him around. I was like fucking giving him wedgies. He was a. He was the little kid that would hang around the big guys, you know what I mean? Wanting to get some experience and wanting to learn, and he would do it, and he was amazing in that ring. And you've just got to look at it that way. It's like you can't sit there and think that these guys are being told or forced to do anything. It's not like if you're working in retail, Dave, where someone says to you it's your job. Do you know what I mean? You do it or we're gonna fucking shit can you.
Thank you for telling everyone I work in retail.
Dude, you've said it like 1,000,000 times over.
Yeah.
It's not like that. It's not like.
For the record, I've worked in retail for years too, so don't even.
Retail is brutal. Everyone should be forced to work in retail for 1 year of their life, and that way
at least to get some type of. Well, at least to get some empathy of how it feels to be behind that register.
Exactly, that's what I was going to say.
I'm being treated
Yeah,
like
I work
I'm
a cashier too, so.
But being treated like a pile of shit by
It's a
people,
bitch.
and treated like you're worthless, and then being made to kind of take it,
Why do you
in
think
a
I don't
sense.
wear a name badge? Because that way when I insult them, they don't know who to complain about. Sorry.
Exactly.
The ins and outs. Now, I've done my time with retail, so I know plain and simple how
True
to respect
story.
anybody behind the register.
Slight tangent, but you'll love this, right? When I had to do a home delivery job about 10 years ago, and if people weren't in, and you know that even though it wasn't your fault to have received their goods, when I signed the card that said, I was your driver today, I fabricated an individual, and I called him Rico Balls, and I put this slip through so many doors that my company actually kept asking one day, not to me because they didn't know it was me, in one of our meetings, which is, does anyone know who this driver is called Rico Balls? Because we're getting a lot of complaints about him. And it's like, he's not even real.
Oh, that's funny.
But that's the thing. You've got to have passion. It's not like a normal. And I have to admit this, right? When it comes
That's
to
the
anything
impact
I've ever
sport
done.
though as well.
No, but anything I've ever done, you've got to have passion to do it. When I've ever worked, the one reason why I've never been able to keep a solid job down is because I've never had the passion for it. My
Fire in your
passion,
belly.
yeah,
Only for specific things.
yeah. Professional wrestling, you've got to have a passion. That's why I always see these guys complaining like, "I could have been worth a fucking shit." It's like, dude, like fucking lighten the fuck up. At the end of the day,
Don't treat your audience like chumps, because people know what passion is, so they can always spot the difference between someone who may be very technically gifted, but is just going through the numbers, as opposed to someone who may not have half the talent, but is above and beyond 100%, 10% committed to it and takes the bangs. Your audience aren't chumps. They can see through people who aren't in love with what they do, if that makes sense. They're in love with the idea, but they're not in love with the process.
Right.
Agreed.
but that's the thing. And when it comes to acting, directing, Hollywood, whatever the fuck you want to call it, there's got to be a passion there. And when it comes to professional wrestling, the same thing. And for someone like Kevin Owens, he's got a story, and a lot of his story lies in passion. He's passionate, but now he's taking the shortcuts. Do you know what I mean?
So what you're saying, bad pun aside, which is The next time I get pulled over by the old Bill and he accused me of road rage, I can just say, that wasn't road rage, officer. That was passion.
Yes. So now, going on from that, where do you guys see this moving forward?
Well, considering Owens is going to be defending his NXT title in Japan on July 4th, that was a
huge.
big news story too. That big,
That is beyond huge.
That's awesome.
Oh man, I get the feeling that was supposed to be Hideo Itami, not Finn Balor. But because Itami got hurt, you could easily plug Balor in there. So they've got, top guys ready to go if someone, gets hurt or whatever. But
top guys from Japan at that.
Right. I mean, Balor is still the guy, made his name in Japan. It's gonna be like a homecoming, yada yada yada.
Created the Bullet Club, storyline wise.
But that's the thing. Do you see Finn Balor turning heel because of it? I still think he's the one who injured Itami.
Down the road, maybe.
That would be a great twist.
I think so.
I mean, the whole fact that they are going to Japan and all this stuff, that could be the storyline right there, that he wanted to be the one headlining Japan and not Hideo.
Yeah,
So I guess
right.
I've got a funny feeling that this is where it's going to end up, because nobody has actually come forward yet as to being the person who injured him. Not even Tyler Breeze. So, you know, and Breeze.
I mean, all we have is just Owens walking by and that backstage thing at Unstoppable. That's a shame.
Yeah, I know.
But he did say to William Regal, "That wasn't me." I'm not taking credit for that because I didn't do anything.
Hey,
If you could give any of these wrestlers traveling to Japan one piece of advice, what would it be? I know what mine would be. On your days off between training, go around the stores called the Hard Up. You can buy Japanese Mega Drive games for $1.50 boxed. Just saying.
What?
Fuck.
Damn.
But saying that,
anyway,
do you think, right, JR was talking about this recently, a lot of guys in the industry have said this, Cena should not get his return win, they need to protect Owens as much as they can.
Yes.
Yes.
And that's what I was going to bring up. We got, Money in the Bank, we're getting the rematch. Owens needs to beat Cena again. The title's not on the line, Cena has nothing to... he's got nothing on the line except his own pride. But
you know what I was going to say? Make it shady. Do you remember Shelton Benjamin versus Triple H, where he kept beating him every time he tried to have a match with him? Just go from that.
Could you pull the fuck finish and make it kind of a shady win? Yeah. And you kind of, you have seen you did not beat me clean. And you still have Owens, he's still winning. He's still going into this match with a win. So...
I say, you could even actually have him as a cemented member of the Authority by having the Authority help him. And then Cena gets screwed. And then Cena continuously tries to get the win over the guy. And, after this pay-per-view, Cena keeps trying to say, I want a match with Owens. And then Owens can be like, well, I beat you twice, so I have nothing else to prove.
So fuck off.
Exactly. And then Cena tried to goad him into another match, and then they could do it with the big prize on the line in a sense. And for me, I like the idea of Owens, basically beating Cena 2-0 because he could be the only person to brag that he did that, apart from CM Punk, of course.
But they don't just want to acknowledge CM Punk. They just want to show shots of his ass.
Yeah, of course.
So here's another thing too that you might want to add too is that Seth Rollins kind of felt he was kind of gel about them praising Owens. So if they did ever come down to help him, this can kind of play into the whole Seth Rollins thing if he's supposed to be turning face, down the road.
But that's exactly it. I think he's actually.
Even though it is kind of a joke, but since you were right, Nick, it seems to be one heavy long promotion for his ass. Right, I'd like to think that it's like Daisy Duke from the Dukes of Hazzards back in the day. Do you think each of his buttocks is insured for $1 million?
I was to think CM Punk's basically got a pair of Daisy Dukes on WWE.com. Shop.com that's going to be sold.
Yeah, I'm just it's referencing the video when after Punk, came out with the allegations of the Z-Packs and the fucking staph infection, all that shit.
I said this. Both sides were in the wrong with this situation. They shouldn't be airing their dirty laundry in public.
Right. But
It was
yeah,
childish.
they posted this video disputing Punk's claims, yada yada yada. But it's, I don't know, it's ridiculous. But anyway, back to Owens and Cena, and leading this into the Seth Rollins thing. You can bring Owens and the Authority. I mean, Brock Lesnar still has a legitimate beef with not Kevin, but Rollins.
Seth Rollins.
Yes, because Rollins came in, backdoor, literally ultimate opportunist.
You
to the
never
nth
want to come in
degree.
someone's back door. Sorry.
Oh God! I mean, it was the ice of the century, and he never pinned Lesnar. He pinned Roman.
Right.
But that's
So-
that's the thing here now. Going on from that, the main event,
Oh my God!
Rollins versus Ambrose, in a match that it was one of those troll finishes in a sense.
It was the dusty finish.
Yes.
It's Wheeler. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my
baby.
God! The fucking dusty finish, man.
Yo, brother, it's for you, brother. That dusty finish was for you, brother.
This kind of reminds me of Starrcade '87 Night of the Skywalkers, because you had this really big gimmick match that everybody was like really hot on, with the Road Warriors versus the Midnight Express, and they kind of stole the show. That was the Kevin Owens and the John Cena match at the time, and then they went to Nikita Koloff and Ric Flair, and it kind of went off on that tangent too. So when they did that, this whole thing I'm like, this is Starrcade from a long time ago.
But I love the fact that Ambrose stole the title and legged it out.
Yes.
You
Yeah.
know?
Ran out. That's what he leave the fans home happy, and
But he has a
he's
legitimate
got the
claim.
title.
Okay, Dex. I just got Biff from Back to the Future in my head going, there's something very familiar about all this.
But it did make me laugh because the pay-per-view before that, you had them powerbomb Orton through the fucking table, and then Rollins going, yeah, we're back together, baby, we're back together, and then the other two just looked at him and just went, yeah.
Nope.
But it was fun. I felt the match was good, very nice pacing, told a very good story. The finish left me on edge because I was like, oh my god.
Titty Master Heavyweight Champion of the world. No.
Yeah,
That's the finish.
It did piss me off a bit. But when he left with the title, I was like, okay, I'm satisfied. They've obviously
was
planning
Bill.
around.
Ambrose, they just cut a
Bill
promo on Raw.
failed.
Ambrose still has that fucking belt.
But I have to admit,
You know-
it was one of the best pay-per-views that I've seen. Well, best filler pay-per-views that I've seen so far.
Right. You know what I wish they would have done though? A real dusty finish, honestly. If you remember back then, they would win the belt. Everybody would go home happy. And then next week you would see you would have saw Seth Rollins with the belt, and you're like, what the hell's going on? And then they play back and they got the referee and they're explaining what the hell happened. That's what Tommy Young used to do. He Tony Schiavone used to have Tommy Young, talk about like why this match was overturned and everything. And you're like, damn it. That's a real dusty finish right there. But I also like the way they did it too, and he left out with the title because that doesn't happen enough when dusty finishes happen. It's like, all right, I'm still going to take the belt. Screw this. I beat him.
Yeah, because he's got a legitimate claim because he did beat him.
Right.
If it wasn't for the referee going to the other ref, yeah, that shouldn't count because the other guy kicked me. I disqualified him beforehand. He would have left. If it was anyone else, they would have left with the title. So it was one of those things where the guy that the crowd was behind, he's the top. At the moment, I'm going to say this, and a lot of people might not agree with me. He is the top face in the company.
Yes.
He is the Stone Cold to Rollins' corporate rock, in a sense.
No, but I hate hearing that because they watered him down so much of what it could be, and it might just be me. I'm not a fan of that his theme music.
I don't like
sounds
it either.
Yeah.
It sounds like a bootleg version. I mean, it's better than Samoa Joe's right now, but
Yeah.
I really
It sounds
it's
like
such a
Muzak
watered-
from an elevator.
Exactly, and it's supposed to be like an imitation, tofu version of Stone Cold's actual song.
Or someone, it sounds like someone ripping one in the elevator.
Yeah.
As he's
And I'm
about
like,
to show.
ew.
It's me. It was the start. It sounded like Tony Tiger saying it's great about Frosted Flakes.
Yeah, it's one of those. It just, I agree.
It sounds like a cereal commercial song.
His music eventually will need a change, and I think he will get it eventually when they probably end up getting a band to sing it or something like that.
Every
look how
time I
he-
hear it, I
Johnson,
get to
Jim
expect
Johnson's
that
no longer doing music, is he?
No. I think he's like the head of the music division or something like that now, isn't he?
Yeah, it's more of a corporate role, but
Oh, it must be that CFO group. That's the group
Yeah.
who did Finn Balor's really cool theme song.
Owens, they've done Page.
Right.
I was gonna say Bray Wyatt, but that's Mark Crozer. That's a
You know
different
when
guy.
you're over when the
WWE,
crowd
by
is
the way,
doing a
anyone who's
fucking
welcome to
pose.
use my music is an entrance to your ring, but I expect money for every time it's played.
That'd be
I can't wait
hilarious.
till they change
They'll
Samoa
never use
Joe's
it.
for that matter too.
They should.
They could do a ska metal band version. Oh, boy, oh.
It's funny you say that, Burhan, but someone already did.
Oh, God.
Oh, good God!
But saying that, as I said, right, the only thing I can see in this whole situation is going back to the pay-per-view. I'm hoping that they do give us that satisfactory win at the end, but I've got a funny feeling Ambrose is getting screwed at the pay-per-view, which is a shame because if he's not getting the Mr. Money in the Bank, I would at least have him get the WWE Championship and maybe have Rollins win it back from him and have them trade the title. Because even I think The Rock was at his best when it was him versus Mankind and him versus Stone Cold, if that makes sense. He was the corporate champion that did lose the title every now and then because the other guy still managed to wrangle it out of his hands. Do you know what I mean? It wasn't
That's what
for...
fans want because it's more credibility. Which
Yeah.
is, when you just get someone who's constantly superhuman, there's only so much of it you can watch where you just think, why am I even watching this pay-per-view? I know exactly how it's going to play out. It's going to be, like the end of Rocky 2. It's going to be really mixed in the middle for a little bit, then all of a sudden he's going to go strong.
It goes back to our whole Cena analogy, really, doesn't it? Like, if the guy keeps winning, then everybody's just going to keep getting pissed off. And I think that's the same thing's got to be said about Rollins. We know he's got everybody else on his side. We know he's the Ric Flair at the moment. He's the Ric Flair of this dynasty, in a sense. But
to fail makes you human, and the audience likes, I don't care what anyone says, audience likes vulnerability in a wrestler.
But it also, the fact this program with Ambrose has been going on and off for about a year now. As I said, it's been a 1 year anniversary of the Shield breaking up.
Yes.
So Rollins losing the title to Ambrose isn't going to be a big deal because he can eventually win it back at the next pay-per-view. At least allow the crowd to go home happy once.
Well, I think what is going to happen, considering who is going to be looking real strong in the Money in the Bank match, Roman, they're looking like they're going to turn Roman heel.
So you think
really
if
does
Ambrose
seem like
wins, Roman will cash in, destroy him, and get
Yes.
the title and walk away
That
with it?
is-
And he's going to be the
I
new
would-
poster boy for the Authority?
I won't be
I think
shocked
so.
if that happens.
From what happened at the pay-per-view and how them two were chummy, it something didn't feel right. So I really
Taste
think
in mouth.
yeah, I agree. Something smell is coming off a little sketchy on that news. So I am
Yep.
expecting that.
No,
Yeah,
I
at
agree.
the end of the day, it's
There's a
looking like
faint
Roman's
whiff
going to
of
be looking
bullshit if we
really
stand down and win.
strong.
Yeah.
But in the end,
Yeah.
whatever happens, so far so
Stop saying
good.
in the end, people, because it makes me want to quote the Connery gods.
Well, whatever happens, it's going to be coming off a good pay-per-view. I've never been so hyped for a Money in the Bank since CM Punk's retirement.
Yes. When he ran out with the belt, blew a kiss, like, fuck you, I'm taking the belt, put it in his fridge.
And I
Still watched it to this day.
I still agree on the fact that they should have kept him off of TV for a year. That would have made.
They should have at least longer than they did.
At least like a few months.
8 fucking days.
8 days, wow. Yeah.
Less than a fucking
They
Predator.
don't understand the phrase impact, do they?
No, I think they were afraid, and it's kind of leads back to what the WWE tends to do. Whenever they're not so bad at it anymore, but when it comes to taking a significant risk, they don't tend to do it because they get worried. It's all
Well,
ever
yeah,
someone
exactly.
goes,
They establish an event. They make it really important, and there's a lot of impact at the time. But then you can hear the blokes in the suits at the top of the company getting worried, which is, boom, we must keep him relevant. Well, no, because don't you understand that this will make him more relevant? But we're scared we won't make money. And 8 days.
Yep.
It's like the Nexus storyline, for instance. It's the one. Remember when they all came out and they destroyed everybody? I guarantee you, if your jaw wasn't hitting the floor, you didn't watch the same fucking program.
8 days isn't even a long weekend in my world.
Do you remember that when the Nexus destroyed John Cena They just like
Yes,
everywhere.
they ripped up everything.
Yeah.
The ring, announcers were getting beat up. Justin
I was
Roberts getting choked with his own tie.
clamoring to watch Raw the next week because no one talked about it. Even on SmackDown, they never discussed it. You know.
Right.
And when the next week on Raw, they revealed it. It was great. It kind of took some of the edge off when Daniel Bryan was let go because that was annoying because he seemed like he was the co-leader of the team. Because you had like Barrett leading and then Bryan being the second in command. I was like, ooh, this looks really good. And then he was let go because of the tie situation, or we call it Tie-gate. And then they ended up he ended up losing more and more of its luster because of the situation with Cena, and it was a shame because they had something and then they just backpedaled on it because they went, oh, yeah, we should be going that direction. No,
Well, it comes down to that when you're a company whose product is based primarily on quotation fingers events and quotation fingers, bear that in mind, because how much of an event can something be if you don't properly leave the gap of suspension, which you talked about then, Burn, when you come back and you see it not knowing anything about it, then you're really pumped and hooked, and it makes you want to watch the product even more, just to go, oh, he's back, yeah.
It's like watching a good cliffhanger. You know,
Yeah.
when you have a good cliffhanger and you're like clamoring to watch a TV show after that cliffhanger.
Right.
Yeah, it's like basically they should just watch every single season of Supernatural and base more wrestling events on their cliffhangers.
Yeah, I agree. But yeah, that's pretty much it, you know, for the pay-per-view, guys. What was your opinion? Let's go for the overall grade. Nick, what's your overall grade for the pay-per-view? Nick?
He's so disgusted he doesn't have one.
Dax, overall grade.
Overall grade, A minus B plus. Only strongly because of the first chamber and of course the Raw main event, which was Owens versus Cena.
Dave?
Yeah, I pretty much give it 8 out of 10 because there was some really like we talked about the first fight. There was some bits where you just like this is rubbish, but there was enough like with the main event and stuff like that and Owens versus Cena that it got me back on side. But I couldn't give it a solid 10. I'll give it a 7.5. I don't regret watching it, but there were parts of it that were just bland, basically.
Yeah, I was actually saying, I made a comment about the women. I was like, ladies, you don't have to worry. The Elimination Chamber was the new piss break.
Yeah.
It was, I literally, I think I went to the toilet twice during that match, and I didn't care what was going on. I was just like, I need to go to. I'm just gonna go
I
take
even
a
muted
shit.
the TV when I went for a slash so I could hear my own piss.
Yeah, it was one of those that you could sit there and just go, this is dragging. Nick, you back?
Sorry, I didn't realize my mic was fucking muted. It's me not paying attention, but
Overall grade?
I gotta give it a 7. You know, it was, you know, we had some good undercard matches, a great match, Kevin Owens, Cena. You know, the title match was really good. A one chamber match blew, you know, the Intercontinental title, but overall a decent pay-per-view for something that got announced pretty last minute and went from, you know, a couple of house shows to this. So yeah.
So that's pretty much
Yeah,
it
I
for my
agree with
score.
that. You know, what, B minus, and if it was a teacher grading it, it would be in red letter pen at the bottom. Must try harder.
Yeah, for me, I
Right.
agree with the common general consensus. It's a 7 out of 10. It was one of those where it wasn't the worst, but it wasn't the absolute best. There was a few matches that
I
kind
didn't
of
feel robbed. Put it that way.
well, because there was a lot of matches that stole the show. The first chamber match.
feel that my whole, you know, amount of my paycheck for it, or paying for it, was not utilised correctly, if that makes sense.
Yeah, the chamber match for the tag titles, the Owens versus Cena match, and also the main event were the 3 matches that sold this pay-per-view. Everything else, which was the other chamber match and the women's match, did not. I felt bad for the girls.
Owens and Cena knocked the wind out of me.
Yeah.
Like plain and simple.
That made it worth my money's worth. If I bought this on pay-per-view, I would have been satisfied by that match only. But it's you know, it's one of those where there are still things that could be fixed, and I would never put those guys in an elimination chamber for that.
Well, we go as far as to say from whoever, you know, who coined this pay-per-view, it was one of the more lazy ones, if you will.
But it was good for a
The
filler
elimination
pay-per-view.
chamber. The elimination chamber. Because I went to this like live when it was out. WrestleMania 15 Philadelphia, the Hell in a Cell between Undertaker and Boss Man. That's what this reminded me of. It was kind of on that level.
Yeah. So going on from that, guys. Let's go for an Iron Sheik tweet of the week, and we're going to basically let our host here, Mr. Nick Horaceck, find our Iron Sheik tweet of the week because Brandon's not here today to do that. So let's play that music, shall we?
Sounds like you enjoyed that a bit too much, Burhan. That music.
Fuck him! I talked to him! I wanna know, are you the man or are you a fucking piece of shit? No good motherfucker! Fucking bullshit! Bullshit, Hulk Hogan! I'm the red, all-American gold medal. You are good. You are the best. But you know, I'm the fucker. Fuck! Fuck! Oh, ho, ho! You know it, jabroni! Fuck! Fuck!
So, Nick, have you got our Iron Sheik tweet of the week?
I think he may have gone for a whiz because I can see B right back in the scope.
Well then, ladies and gentlemen, let me...
TV people, it's a beauty, eh?
It's not live, it's Memorex. So, ladies and gentlemen, let me go through our Iron Sheik tweet of the week. I'm on Twitter at the moment, looking at the tweets.
He pulled a Sheiky.
He did pull a Sheiky. He pulled a Sheiky, baby. And we're basically looking at who basically we can look at for the Iron Sheik tweet of the week and go from and see what we think is the you know what the kind of contenders here. We've got one at the moment which says "fuck the hug your cat day," which is the first one.
As a dog person, I completely agree with that.
This one I think is hilarious, which is the LeBron or the Curry, who has the raisin balls. And that, ladies and gentlemen, was our Iron Sheik tweet of the week.
Fucking bullshit!
Now let's go on to the plugs, and let's take it first to our guest here, Mr. Dax from ACMG. Dax, what have you got for us? What have you got coming up? Because I know you've got some special stuff coming through in terms of ACMG, including the website, and also with your various projects that you're working on.
Don't tell Xander, but I think you've got a far more sultry voice.
Ooh, don't make it out of a word off.
Drums!
So,
I don't
Dax,
know what you're talking about there.
so Dax, plug away.
Well, first of all, speaking of Michael, next week we actually have a podcast called ACMG Presents Talk Time Live. Of course, we all shoot the shit and talk all things anime, comics, movies, and games. We always got a different theme. We always, interact with the ACMG Facebook group, and we have a lot of fun doing so. This coming week, we just released our just episode on iTunes and Stitcher for this as of today. Next week, Mr. Burhan himself will be a guest in our show. So our theme is basically going to be indie-made films based on video games and such. And since my friend over here is working on a project, it was more than appropriate to invite him to talk about his project. So we're going to have a lot of fun doing that. Also, you can always see, always listen to that podcast, like as I said, on iTunes, on Stitcher, and our very own ACMG blog called The Warp Zone. So go on to acmgwarpzone.com, check out that, check a lot of other, content that's on there as well. And you can also join ACMG by going to facebook.com /groups/ACMG1 and check us out and see what all the fuss is about. And why we're probably one of the most fun, and engaging Facebook groups today, next to the Wrestling Revolution, of course. So
Yeah, of course.
come
when
on.
we don't have
We look
someone
forward to
spamming
seeing
the
you.
group.
Proud member, may I say? Proud member.
I am too, and I have to admit, it is a very engaging group. They always discuss things, and they always talk about things like comics, TV shows, and games as well. And I always post a lot of my content on there too.
Well, not only that, but we also provide different content that nobody's ever done. I mean, we have ACMG TV that I produce, from time to time. I do reviews, called The Playground, which is on ACMG Warp Zone, and on ACMG TV from time to time. We have contests. We have Talk Time, which is, for those who really engage in the comic book movies and TV shows and don't want to get spoiled by them, we have spoiler zone posts specifically for that, so people can check it out. So
that always
go
makes me laugh when people just go out of the box for that and just go, "Oh, I'm posting about this." And you're like, "No spoilers, ban."
oh, dude. It's become a thing now because one, I'm known as Godzilla in that realm. Two, and and I get a lot of Snickers jokes because of that. And two, I now when people get banned, it's like known as Zone 42. So it's a comic book reference.
You should MP4 my thing I say when I do like videos, which is, and you can put it in front every time you block someone, but it's me saying in a very high pitched voice, "Spoilers."
Or you could basically have like a meme of your head over Samuel Jackson's body, just saying, "Spoil that shit one more time, motherfucker."
Spoilers, motherfucker.
I dare you again. I dare you again. Say it again.
Jesus Christ, McLean, you trying to hit these people? No, maybe just that mime.
But yeah, it's a
overall,
great site.
it's a great adult-based group too, and yes, adult-based group. So we do.
And there's too few of them out there, I may add, which is why I like it. Too few adult groups out there will behave responsibly and fucking adults.
Right. No trolling. Well, no real trolling or no catfishing or anything. We heavily, thoroughly check out who's going to be in our group or whatever like that. And the minute if we happen to find somebody, they immediately get Zone 42. So, come along. It's a great group. Everybody's more than welcome.
And also, one of my favourite parts of the group is the Terrence T-Mobile basically doing the what the fuck comic panel of the week.
Now he has a spin-off called the DBZ is Life, which is Dragon Ball Z.
I've used a lot of those.
I like it because it's down to earth and even newbies get made to feel at home.
Absolutely.
And I do love the Dragon Ball Z is Life, especially because I used a lot of those and they always crack me up. Especially the Krillin ones. But yeah.
Oh god, yeah.
So, Mr. Dave Wade, where can we find you?
You can find me on Facebook at Dave Wade. You can find me on YouTube at Longboys Post 1975. If you like your retro games, you like your vlogs. My Wednesday vlog this week was, what movie did you skip school for and why?
And also make sure that you can find Dave on Burhan the Boy. We've rescheduled from yesterday due to internet issues.
I can't say it. No, don't say the C word.
We're going to be doing a re-record this Saturday and we'll be uploading on Sunday this week, just for a specially scheduled time, so that you don't miss out on Burhan and the Boy. We also got the return next week of the Untitled Movie Show on youtube.com/UnumRadio. Miguel can basically discuss with you guys about what's going to be happening in terms of the future of the show on that various network as well. But we will also be bringing a little bit more.
Yeah, it's not going to be movies anymore. It's going to be called the Untitled Anime Show.
But also, ladies and gentlemen, as well, if you want to learn more from me, of course, you can go to youtube.com/TheNerdGenius. I've got a couple of wrestling vids up, as Dax and the gang have actually stated. I've got my Tough Enough audition, where I basically...
Well worth to watch, people. It's fucking hilarious.
It's a few minutes.
Yes, it is.
And
highly recommend it.
It's me asking to be an announcer on the show. It's really fun. Outside of the box. I also did a rebuttal to Max Landis' video talking about why wrestling fans boo Cena. I know he keeps saying people boo Cena. People don't boo Cena. Wrestling fans boo Cena. And I've actually tweeted Max Landis. I've left a comment in his YouTube comment section as well about it. And he has yet to basically take me up on that or even discuss the situation or even link to my video or anything like that. I think he's just basically done the video and is done with it. Which is a shame because...
Don't be scared, homie.
Yeah, for me, I always believe, I understand the intricacies of the business, and for some people who are outside of the business, I know a lot of people think they're in the know, they're in the inside, or if they're buddy-buddy with someone who's inside the company, they always believe that they understand what the intricacies of the business are, but you've got to, it's like anything, it's like Hollywood, you've got to, in order to understand something, you've got to be a part of it, you've got to work within those means and within that
sitting on the fence,
system.
People.
Exactly. So hopefully, Max, I'm calling you out. Discuss it. Tell me if you feel like I'm right or wrong, or if you feel that you've got more of a legitimate reason to actually think the way that you do. I'd love to hear about it. Check that out. Leave it. And as always, guys, I'm trying to do something very new with the YouTube thing. I do a thing called YouTube of the Week as well every week, where I refer my subscribers and people who watch my channel to the other various channels out there. So eventually, you may see Dax's channel get put as YouTube of the week, or Dave's channel, or all the other channels. The only thing that you need to do on your channel is have less than 100,000 subscribers to actually be a part of the YouTube of the week. Because
Right,
if
so
you're,
That's
big
pretty
time.
easy.
No.
yeah, so you're a small time
Yeah, I'm
channel.
back, by the way. Sorry.
Sold.
Where will you be when diarrhea strikes?
But you're like you're a small time channel.
Just for me, Nick, call it this. This is what we call it in the UK. We don't call it diarrhea. We call it the brown rain.
But you know, it's one of those things.
Where will
where-
you be when the brown rain strikes? I love that.
Good night, everybody.
Yeah. But
Are
yeah.
we not doing Iron Sheik tweet of the week? Or...
Oh, we did it already.
We did. You were suffering from the brown rain,
Yeah.
apparently.
Chocolate
Seriously?
rain. But yeah, so
Chocolate
check
rain.
out the YouTube of the week on that as well, guys. Make sure as well. I'm going to be putting something up. I need some advice from everybody out. If you listen to this and you're on my Facebook, I want you to leave a comment. I'm doing something where I've got a little project which seems to be actually transitioning to something else. It is. I want to do something where in this July I want to head out into the EU, the big bold EU, the European Union as they call it. So it's Germany, France, Poland, all these other little
Spain, they have good football.
and Spain, all these other little places that there's a big cycle route that goes around the entire retrospective
Never go to
of Europe.
France and refer to their country as a little place. They won't like it.
But it's basically like someone going around America and seeing America and
Oh, you like
Canada
Jamie
and-
Oliver when he
yeah.
exposed how
And
to cook
Mexico.
properly.
Yeah, it's basically I'm going to be going around to these places. I'm going to be doing videos about the sites, about the cities, and making content for you. Absolutely free. Before anybody gets all psycho about it, I will not be monetizing the videos. There'll be no adverts on these videos. It's going to be absolutely free for you. But I'm also going to be using it to film a documentary of my experience because, look, let's face it, the world is not. It's a very scary place at the moment, especially in the United Kingdom. Where people are being dragged down. Classism is becoming more and more respected. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm asking for people to help fund this trip. But no, I'm not starting a Kickstarter. No, I'm not starting a Patreon. And no, I'm not asking you to give me your money.
You could call it Mike Does EU, Do You. Do
Exactly.
EU.
But the way I want to do it is I want you to hire me. So I'm going to be starting a GoFundMe page. Now the GoFundMe page is going to be titled Hire Me. That's pretty much it. So all you got to do is give a example. Give me $1. $1 is the minimum.
Tell you what, if you ride all the way down to Bristol, I'll pay you 15 quid to wash and wax my car, and then you
Fine.
can ride back.
I'll do it because I got to hand you the phone anyway. And basically what it is, if you need me to come to your place and mow your lawn, I'll do that. Tell me where you're located. I'll make sure I get a route how to get there. I'll go to Ireland. I'll go to Scotland. I'll go
But
to
I
all
want
the other
2
different
coats.
places.
Don't con me.
I'll go to all the other
Sorry.
different places.
That's
As long
the
as you
future
can
quote there.
donate a sizable amount to make the trip worth the journey. I need to raise $5,000 to get this done, and I'm going to be living in a tent. I'm going to be riding my bike, and all this money is going to be for is my insurance for my bike, my insurance for my camera and my editing equipment. So I can use places with internet, and also give me enough so that I have.
Remember when you're in Europe, by the way, you will need, I'm not taking the piss with this, even though you're not driving a car, you will need a high-vis vest and one of those weird triangles you put out, even though you're not on a car, behind your car when you break down, because it's a legal requirement, otherwise they fine you.
Also, it's basically just enough to make sure that I survive. And that's all it is. I'm not going to basically... I don't want people to donate to this. I want people to help me help myself. I want to do this project. I think it could make a very good documentary for something that could go into, say, like Cannes or even one of the
Oh
film
my god, you're
festivals.
Michael Palin!
Or one of the festivals. I also, it would be a nice little project for me to do as a filmmaker, and also as a person to explore the world and see that it's not such a bad place. Because come on, guys, everyone's experienced it. There's a ton of homeless going on out where you're living, wherever you are.
I'll give you
Yeah.
50 quid
Yep.
if you take a picture of yourself at the top seat in the Bernabeu Stadium.
You got to tell me what the Bernabeu Stadium is.
Barcelona Stadium.
Yeah, I'm fine. I'll do that. And this is the thing, and this is what I'm going to
I
do.
demand a selfie from it.
Cool. And this is what I'm going to do, guys. I'm going to ask you. This is how this trip's going to work. You get to determine where I go. You got to determine what places I go to see and what places I do. If you want me to interview someone, tell me where they are. Tell me where they're located. I'll get in touch with them and I will interview them as long as they are in this route. All it is to make sure that I go for a journey and I want to experience you, each and every one of you.
You going to ferry or are you going to channel tunnel?
I am going to ride. There's a cycle route throughout the entire...
No, I know, but you still have to get across the sea at some point.
I think it's going to be via the Channel Tunnel.
There's a video of that in itself.
Yeah. So, in the end, guys, I want to make sure that, you know, I want you to experience this with me. I don't want to end up in a situation where I'm doing this on my own. I want each and every moment I experience to be yours. And in order to do that, all I need is your help. So hire me. That's all you got to do. It's my advert here to hire me so that I can do this. And, you know, I'm not asking for money. I'm not another Metal Jesus Rocks who's basically sitting there. And I'm going to name the guy because it happened, who's opened up a Patreon recently and did a GoFundMe so he can go and get drunk and drive around in a fucking camper van. That's not me. I'll be living in a tent. I'll be living within my means. And I will not be spending on anything luxurious or lavish.
This will get you £100 pledge from me, but it might end badly. You need to go into a really, really expensive, well-recognised French restaurant, take one bite out of your food, then spit it on the floor and say at the top of your voice, "Oh, this food tastes like shit."
Yeah, I'm not doing that because that's going to start a war. And if I get arrested, that's my US visa gone.
Well, no. But you see, if all you got to do, right, if you piss off the French, is run back to Normandy and we'll send boats over.
But there you go, guys. That's my little plug for that. The GoFundMe campaign is going to be released tomorrow or Sunday for that, to get that done. And as Dax said, I am working on other projects as well at the point in time. I'm not going to discuss everything until we do the synergy as well. Nick, where can we find you? And let's sign us out.
Alright, you can find me over on YouTube at the Gaming Pegasus 187. I am over on the Wii U and Xbox Live and fucking Instagram, Pegasus 187, WWE Supercard, Pegasus 187. Last 6 fucking Fusion Chambers, 4 Nikki Bellas, 2 Daniel Bryans. Like, ridiculous. Like, I've got nothing but Daniel Bryan and Nikki Bella out of most of my Survivor Fusion Chambers. Like, insane. But I won a WrestleMania King of the Ring, WrestleMania Miz, Survivor Titus O'Neil, whatever. But, yeah, I'm all over the place. I've been playing a lot of shit ton of Call of Duty lately. So, yeah.
Support professional wrestling, support independent everything,
Yes.
and if there's someone out there who is a content creator and needs your help, support them, ladies and gentlemen, because without you there is no us, without you there is no Unlim Radio, and without you there is no professional wrestling. Remember that. Support the independents so we can see the next Finn Balor, so we can see the next Kevin Owens, so we can see the next Hideo Itami, so we can see the next John Cena. Because...
And without you, there are no more babies when I finally decide to start a family. Sorry.
And without you, there is no WWE. Just remember that. Because for the wrestler of today that you see in the independents could be the main event player of tomorrow.
Yep.
And this is for Nick Horaceck, for Dax, for Mr. Lawnboys Post 1975. I'm Michael Burhan saying that this is Slamcast and we will see you next time.
Peace, love, and humptiness, y'all.
Take care.
Slamcast is sponsored by the old NXT, by the show that had so many game show contests it had no fucking idea what the hell it was going on about. The show that was mocked, that was criticised, and that people didn't understand what the fuck was going on. I mean, seriously, Vince, what were you smoking crack that day? Did you just sit there and go, yes, this would be amazing, while shooting your load at a ferret? I have no idea what you were doing.
I think it was just inspired by Bob Barker.
I think so. The price is wrong, bitch.
Yes.
No, NXT was